All right, guys, welcome to the webinar. Mike Vastile here. Now, really quick, do me a favor. Just type in number 1 in the question box if you guys can hear me. But I'm super excited for today's live training because what we have is a rare opportunity where we have my close friends, Rob and Gary, who are super successful world travelers. I mean, these people live in huge mansion villas in Bali. It's really fun. I mean, we're hanging out all the time while I'm out here. But Gary was actually, he knew nothing about Facebook ads to being the #1 affiliate on Clickbank, making over $20,000 a day in less than 90 days. Now, that's cool and all for him, but why I'm super excited about this training is because of the fact that this is exactly what they give their students, helping them get to their first $1,000 a day or more. And the cool thing about what we're going to go over is you don't need any experience. You don't need any special skills. It's actually really simple. So make sure you take notes, pay close attention. Like I said, this is a rare opportunity and they're super busy guys. So it's really, I'm super grateful for them taking their time out of the day to get on to help you guys. So sit back and I'm going to just listen and take notes myself. Rob and Gary, thank you so much for coming on and I'm going to hand it over to you. They're all yours. Take it away.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So the title of tonight's webinar, or today's webinar, depending on where you're joining us from, is how to make up to $22,227.45 per day without a product, without a list, without knowing anybody, using a simple process that we're going to run through. So I'm really excited. I know Gary's excited. We've been talking about this for a while. You can see there on the screen a screenshot from Gary's Clickbank account, and you can see weekly payouts of anywhere between $96,221 to $131,126. And we've got days paying out as much as $22,000, 5-figure days. And we're going to jump into this and show you exactly the process that we use to do this. So really exciting. Before we start, quick note, just want to mention, and I'll just read through this. Before today, Gary has only shared this method with a small group of people at an exclusive live in-person training in San Diego. People paid, they shelled out $5,000 cash from their pocket just to attend. And of those people, 60% of them made money within 3 weeks. And that included a story that I shared with you in the email, a 72-year-old retired teacher who didn't even have a Facebook account before he started. He created a Facebook account just to run the method. And for the last 8 months, he's been pulling in $500 per day pretty consistently. Works out to about 120 grand, which is obviously more than he ever made as a teacher. He's enjoying that, of course. And it's cool because he barely even understands the system. He just follows the steps. So I want to urge you, those of you on this call right now, you're here, you chose to join us, you're here with us. You set aside your time out of your day. You know, you're busy, I'm sure, just like all of us are. And I want to urge you not to take this training lightly. I want you to, basically, we want to recommend that you approach this session now just as seriously as if you had pulled out your credit card and paid $5,000 to attend, just like those attendees did at that special event that Gary threw not too long ago. Because for some reason, you know, it's a mindset thing. It's when you've paid, you're more serious about something, you're more committed, and we want you to come at this with that same mindset, you know, so that you can really embrace this concept and you can take it and run with it after the webinar. So does that sound good? So quick question for you. Can you just type into the question box for me? Have you ever tried running Facebook ads? Just so we can get a little bit of an idea of your experience level. So just type in a 1 for yes and a 2 for no. We'll make it easy. Who here has started running Facebook ads at some point or has tried it? I'll give it just a second. All right, so let's hop in here. So we got 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Looks like about an even split, so that's cool. So let me ask a follow-up question. Have you ever tried promoting affiliate offers on Facebook? And this time let's do a 3 for a yes and a 4 for a no, so I could tell the difference between, you know, the yeses and the nos. And I'll give it just a second. Have you ever promoted affiliate offers on Facebook? So maybe you've tried promoting your own stuff. or maybe you've promoted t-shirts or something like that, where you're linking directly over to like a t-shirt sales page. But how many of you have tried promoting affiliate offers on Facebook? So we've got lots of 4s, a handful of 3s. So it looks like a lot more people haven't tried it. And then okay, cool. So final follow-up question. For those of you who have promoted affiliate offers on Facebook, what kind of results did you get? And then for those of you who haven't tried it, why not? Okay, so we've got never tried it. I didn't think you could promote affiliate offers on Facebook. I don't know how. Not much. Let's see. Facebook doesn't usually like affiliate offers. Never thought about it. No idea how to do it. So we got a handful of people said yes. Poor results pretty much several times for the people who tried. A lot of people saying they've never tried it. A lot of people saying they didn't think you could or didn't know you can. Didn't think you could get affiliates approved on Facebook. Didn't know how. I thought you couldn't do that. So yeah, a lot of comments coming in. So very interactive crowd. So this is cool. Be a good session. So yeah, I think this is a common misconception that a lot of people think you can't promote affiliate offers on Facebook. And all of these results that we've shown you, Gary and all of his students, all the money that has been made is just promoting affiliate offers on Facebook. The proof that we've shown you so far, it's entirely off of promoting affiliate offers, not selling anybody's own product or anything like that. No email list. No list building, no product creation, nothing like that. All this money was made simply promoting other people's offers on Facebook. So pretty cool, right? And we're going to jump into exactly how to do that on this call. And it's actually pretty simple. So quick question for the audience. Do you know exactly what a super affiliate is? And I'm going to run through the basic definition of what an affiliate is and the difference between an affiliate and a super affiliate. The main difference is that a super affiliate falls in the top 1% of affiliates out there, and they get all the same benefits as, when you're an affiliate, you sell other people's products. You don't have to create your own products. You don't have to worry about customer support, answering email. You don't have to worry about creating sales pages or sales videos or optimizing upsell flows or, all this kind of stuff that a typical product creator has to master. And the main thing, the reason why we love it so much, is that you get to drive traffic, get paid, and that's it. You're done. Whereas the product creator, once the sale is made, that's when their job starts. They've got fulfillment, they've got customer support, they've got all those things. So that's a basic definition of what a super affiliate is. And of course, we're going to go into a lot more detail throughout the webinar of some more specifics, some of the benefits and the advantages, as well as how you can become a super affiliate as quickly as possible using these methods that work so well. So just a quick overview. Gary's simple no product funnel, what we like to call the no product funnel. It's dead simple. It's only 3 steps, and we're going to jump into those steps here in a bit. It's responsible for making Gary the #1 affiliate on the entire Clickbank network several times. You've seen the screenshots. He rakes in regularly upwards of $100,000 per week, and it's all using the 3-step no product funnel that we're going to show you on this live coaching session. So who's ready to hear about that? Just give me a yes in the question box. Let us know if that's something that you're ready to hear. All right, so we've got a huge stream of yeses flying into the question box, which is awesome. Very lively crowd. So this is going to be an interactive session. So go ahead and get ready. Grab a pad of paper and a pen if you want to take notes. Shut down any distractions, your Facebook account. I know it's tempting to go and, argue about, whatever the latest thing is that people are arguing about on Facebook. But just close it
down my Facebook.
Yeah, just close it down for, it'll still be there when you come back. Shut down your email. I'm actually going to turn off my phone. I'm going to silence my phone so I don't get distracted. Just put your full attention into this and be ready to pay attention, absorb this, take notes so that you can take action on this stuff. All right, so let's jump into it. First, though, I want you to make me a promise. Now, this is very powerful stuff that we're going to go through, and this isn't any kind of gimmick or anything. This is quite literally a method that can be used for evil. We see people out there who use the techniques that we're going to show you to scam people, to lie to people, to use techniques to make money in nefarious ways. And we want you to promise us, just type into the question box, I promise, and we'll go ahead and get started once we have got some promises, because this really is powerful stuff. So Leah, Neil, Christian, Bill, Jonathan, Bernard. Okay, cool. Tons of people. Jean-Pierre says, I had it for a second. There's so many questions coming in. It just got lost, but I think he said I crossed my heart. So cool. But that being said, this technique is not for the timid. Okay. Yes, we do only promote good quality products that help people. There's no scams. We don't condone lying or doing any kind of illegal stuff. But I do want you to know that we do market aggressively, okay? Our ad accounts do get canceled sometimes, and that's okay, as we'll show you later. And we do what's proven to work really, really well. I'm sure Gary could go on an entire rant about this, about the terms of service on sites like Facebook and Google and how hypocritical they are. You've gotten your account shut down a few times, right? What is it, like 5, 10, 20? I don't
know. Don't think so small, man.
So yeah, it's like what is it you said the other day? It's like if you haven't had your account shut down at least a few times, then you're still playing in the kiddie pool.
Yeah.
So,
for the most part.
Yeah,
it's not my goal to get my account shut down, but if that's not happening, you're probably not pushing the envelope, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get into that a little. You don't need to worry so much about that later. That's not necessarily a big. I mean, you don't want it to get shut down.
If you don't know what you're doing, it's a big deal. If you know what you're doing, it becomes sort of a moot point, sort of a non-issue.
Exactly. So we won't get too deep into how hypocritical some of the ad networks are, and how they cancel people with legitimate accounts that don't do anything against their terms of service, and they look like Mother Teresa, or how they're not very clear with their specifications, and they don't really publish exactly what they expect you to do, and they don't give you any reason when they shut it down. We could go on for hours on this stuff. Point is, we tend to push the limits. We are very aggressive. We do try and be ethical, but I don't consider Facebook to be a terribly ethical company if you've heard some of the stuff that the founders have done over the years. So we decide to make our own book of ethics, what we feel good about. So in the words of Dan Kennedy, I like how he put this, it takes extreme, extraordinary measures to compel people to act in a way that is contrary to the way they normally act, which is to do nothing, to decide on nothing, and to buy nothing. So we market aggressively to get people off their asses and taking action, and it works. So if that doesn't sound like your particular brand of vodka, in the words of Danny Ocean in Ocean's 11, no hard feelings, we won't be offended, the way to the door, this isn't for everybody, no problem. So now that that's out of the way, let's continue. Quick earnings disclaimer. You are not going to make $22,227.45 per day. We're not legally allowed to make any income promises. So your success will depend on your own work ethic, your risk tolerance, your level of commitment, and your ability to follow simple instructions. But what we can promise is that we will show you exactly how we do it. Then it's up to you to take the info and use it for yourself. Sound good? So pretty standard earnings disclaimer. So real quick, before we jump into this, I gave you a little bit of a teaser, but I think some of you know a little bit about Gary, but I really think you have, like they say on the real world, you think you know, but you have no idea. So years before, I just want to give you an idea of some of Gary's experience, and Gary can chime in a little bit if I get any of this wrong, but I just want to give you kind of an intro to his past. So years back, Gary has been on the cutting edge of making money online for quite some time. He actually pioneered a money-making method back in the day that was so edgy and so profitable that the government actually made it illegal. Now, at the time, it was totally legal. Didn't you go to a lawyer just to verify that it was legal? He had a certified letter he wrote for you. Is that right, Gary?
Yes, that's pretty much accurate.
Yeah. So it was perfectly legal at the time. The system that you're using back then, which is of course now illegal, made more first-time millionaires than really any guru I can think of out there. Here's a shot of one of the guys who continued to do this after it was illegal. He was hit. The FBI stormed, and we have it's kind of like redacted here because we don't want to get distracted from the main system. We've got a lot of people are actually asking what this method was, and we'll go into that. I guess we can. If you stick around till the end, we'll mention what that was. But for now,
there are a couple of people here who have guessed it correctly. And yeah, and I will say when I first got into that, I went through great measures to make sure that it was legal and legit, and that nobody doing it was going to end up going to jail or anything like that. I mean, it was of course controversial, but I spoke out to the best attorneys out there and got it confirmed that it was legal and it was all good to go. Nothing is illegal until there's a court case or something, and then it becomes the precedent is set. So that was the situation there. And
so that being said, nowadays. Gary tends to ride a little closer to the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
But as you can see, he's made many millionaires. Here's a few examples: $28 million in affiliate commissions, $7 million that some affiliates did using this method that he pioneered years ago. So fast forward a little bit. 2 years ago, as many of you know, Gary and I partnered up, did a #1 product launch on Clickbank. It was #1 out of over 10,000 products for over 2 months in a row. So we have a bit of experience in product creation in a few different areas. So we're not just talking out of our ass. We do kind of know what we're talking about in a few areas. So, and for the past 18 months, of course, you've shifted your entire focus to this new method. Is that right, Gary?
Mostly. I still play with software and stuff like that because, I need it for my business. But doing product launches and stuff, I pretty much shifted over to this, which I think you could see why. It's so much less work and so much more money. It's just a no-brainer.
So before we hop into the method, I think what would be great for people is if you could kind of explain a little bit of the backstory, sort of how you came to discover this and why you sort of changed your thinking from selling products to putting your focus on this. So why don't you kind of like jump into that a bit?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to. So, the situation was in the past, and I was very happy with what I was doing before, working with some great people and creating software, for many years, actually. I think I've probably produced over 20 or 30 different software products over the years. And I love software, but I didn't really realize that I don't love it as much as I thought I did. Part of it, I was doing it because it was making me good income. I enjoy the process. I like working with programmers and my partners and stuff. I like working with my customers and helping people. But yeah, there's a lot of work that went into it. Creating a product, creating the sales pages, creating the sales process, following up, doing maintenance, doing customer support. All of that stuff just takes so much energy and effort. And yeah, it pays well, but it's also a ton of work.
Actually, let me interrupt you. When you and I met, I remember you talking about how you had all these software products that you just wanted to launch that you just didn't get around to, and they were just sitting on the shelf.
And that's still the case. I have tons of products that are sitting on the shelf that I just don't really have the time because it takes so much time. So after Rob and I did our #1 Clickbank product launch, that was when one of the customers came to us and mentioned that they were making money off of some ads, right? They were making money off of affiliate marketing, and it just it took my interest. It's not like I didn't realize that this is where big money is, but I just didn't really know how to get into it at the time. So it was kind of coming at it from a newbie perspective as far as paid ads and stuff go. But there was a guy who was making a couple $100s a day. And so we reached out to them and talked to him about it. And then next thing another partner of mine, a good friend of mine, we kind of jumped in and helped this guy take it to the next level. We basically took him from making about $100 a day when he first came to us, and we kind of revamped his ads. We revamped his funnel for him. And next thing you know, he was doing about $500 a day. I decided personally that I wanted to be involved with this because this was just too easy. We went from $100 a day to $500 a day within just like a week or something. I jumped in there with a friend of mine, a partner of mine, and I started running the same funnel. So we took the funnel that we developed, we started running the same funnel, and within a very, very short time, I was up to doing over $1,000 a day And the time span between when I went from $0 running ads to this $20,000 a day, it was almost overnight. It was just so fast, such a fast rise, that it just blew my mind. It was like, man, to realize how much distance spans between somebody who's making no money with affiliate through paid ads to somebody who's just crushing it and the #1 affiliate on Clickbank is so small, and it's so quick that you can get from one place to the next, and you just don't realize it. It just blew my mind, man. I was like, man, I just spent 9 months, with you, Rob, creating this product and getting everything set up to launch this out, and we did great. I don't even know if I want to reveal what we did on the launch, Rob. I don't even know what we did on the launch, but it was a lot.
Yeah, 7 figures.
7 figures, anyway. Yeah, it was into the 7 figures. But still, all the work that went into that. And then look at this, I mean, come on. There's nothing. Because when I have a $20,000 day, it's setting up an ad, and it takes like 15 minutes of my work. I spend more time than that, of course, like checking stats and kind of planning for tomorrow and stuff. But like, it literally is just like the customers come in. You might have hundreds of customers per day, and you don't have to deal with the customers. No offense to any of them. I know a lot of you guys probably are our customers. No offense to you, but I mean, it's a lot of work and energy to put into that. It's much, much better to have the money just flow in, and then you don't have to do any setup. You don't have to build products. You don't have to write sales pages. You don't have to do any of that stuff. And then you don't have to do the maintenance and the follow-up. I mean, I have products that take so much of my time to maintain. But this is just, you just get paid. So, of course, that was the epiphany that I had. It was like, what have I been doing all this time? What have I been doing? Like, this is so much easier, and also just to realize how simple it was to get started. That's what really kind of took me by surprise and took my breath away, because I guess have you seen any courses out there teaching the kind of stuff that we're doing here, Rob? Over the years, I really haven't.
Remotely, I've seen T-shirt courses, or
yeah. I just haven't seen anything. I mean, over the years, I've never really seen anything that teaches this stuff. I don't know. Maybe people kind of tend to, big question is why would you share something like this if you have it? I have a good reason for it. Maybe other people don't. Maybe that's it. I don't really know. Why, but yeah, I just never really had a clue how to get in there and start doing it, but I do now.
So
that
let's
was kind of my
question
story.
box. Do you want to hear exactly how Gary does this? You want to hear how his system works? I'm sort of power hungry right now. There's so many people on the call, and everybody is so responsive that you ask a question and the question box just lights up. All right, so here's what we're going to cover tonight. So first of all, we're going to jump into your first big speed bump that you have to overcome, which is, for some of you, quite possibly the biggest speed bump, and everything else will be simple after this. Then we're going to get into the biggest mistake that most new affiliates make. We will explain the entire no product funnel. It's pretty simple. It doesn't take too long to explain it, but we'll show you the steps. Then we will get into the 3 critical keys to success and 5 roadblocks that separate small-time affiliates from super affiliates, and then we'll reveal a few of our next level secret weapons. Does that sound good? You guys ready? Jim says, get her done, dude. Hassan said, yes. Cool. Keith, yes. Let's hear it. Yes, absolutely. Do it. You bet. All right, so I think people want to hear it. So let's jump into it. All right, so the first big speed bump that you'll face when you're trying to approach a system, and possibly the biggest speed bump, the best way that I could describe it starts with a question. So quick question for you guys, and we got Godzilla here. So the question is, can any of you tell me what is the strongest living animal currently to roam the earth? And I mean like a real animal that exists, not a movie character like Godzilla. So just throw a few guesses in the question box, and let's see what you have to say.
Gorilla, a whale, hippopotamus, blue whale, an ant. Ooh, that's an interesting one. But an elephant.
Full of people who guessed. Yeah, it's not too tough. I think a lot of people probably Googled it. Actually, okay, so the blue whale is the strongest animal on Earth, but I was sneaky. I said the strongest animal to roam the Earth, and the answer is an elephant. So the strongest animal on land is the elephant. An elephant can lift 14,000 pounds or 9,000 kilograms. And just to put that into perspective, I did a little research, and there's a statistic. It just so happens that the New York Jets, who own the title of the heaviest NFL team, one elephant could lift their entire active roster, which is nearly 60 players. So that gives you an idea how strong an elephant is. One elephant can lift an entire football team of nearly 60 players, and not like a high school football team. These are like pro athletes, and some of these guys are pretty heavy. But here's the thing. So elephants that are held in captivity for performances in the circus and stuff like that, which is a bit appalling. What they put them through at birth, the elephants are chained up from the time they're very young, and they learn to not stray from that chain and the post that they tie them to. And by the time they're adults, they've essentially been brainwashed to believe that they can't break that chain. And so at that time, it really only takes a small rope to hold them. And this is kind of the same thing with us. Like, we go through this, we've been brainwashed to believe that we don't have the power to break free from our circumstances, and that big things aren't possible, that they're not within our reach, when they may be as simple as leaning on that rope just to snap it like a little twig. So the analogy, the strongest animal to walk the earth can be held captive by a tiny rope just based on a simple limiting belief. And so when you can overcome your limiting beliefs, this is a perfect scenario for that. And Gary, I'm sure you can attest to this. It's kind of like the 4-minute mile thing, back in whenever they broke the 4-minute mile, doctors thought it would make your heart explode to break the 4-minute mile. But as soon as one guy did it, suddenly dozens did it the next year.
That's exactly relevant to my situation, because when I first got started doing this, the guy that I was working with was only doing $100 a day, and we upped him to several $200, $300, $400, $500 a day. When I got into it, the small little group of people that I started working with, there's about 3 or 4 other guys, and they were all kind of doing about $400 or $500 a day. And I guess I went into it just a little more ballsy. I don't know. Started spending like $1,000 or $2,000, $3,000 a day. And what happened? They were all very nervous for me for some reason. I was comfortable with it, but they were very nervous for me. And they're like, "Are you sure?" So I started doing it, and then when they saw what happened next, I started making several $1,000s a day. They were like, they started doing it, and then next thing you know, they were crushing it, like I was. But then one of the guys, another friend of ours, who was in our little group, he started spending, $10,000 and $20,000 a day. Of course, doubling or tripling his money. And it just opened, it snapped a little rope that was around all of our ankles. So each one of us sort of like pushed everyone to the next level. And it just, each time we'd have these new epiphanies, realizing that the only thing stopping us is our own fear, our own anxieties from taking the next steps, stepping up to the next rung, and realizing that there's very, very little resistance, to go to that next rung. It's just believing that there's nothing in your way.
And really,
so that's a very relevant.
When it comes to this kind of stuff in affiliate marketing, achieving big results is really no more complicated than small results. And often it's just the
exact same effort. It's all in your mind.
It's just numbers on a screen, right? I mean, as far as like what your process is and the system you use, it's just turning up that dial, really.
Once you have something that's working, yeah, that's absolutely right.
Okay, so that's the first big point that we wanted to make. The next big point is the big mistake that most new affiliates make, and this is a very common mistake: targeting small niches versus big niches. And Gary, I think you've got, I'll hand it over to you for this one, because I think you've got some pretty good info on this.
Sure. Yeah, I do actually. I think, through the years, I've always heard this message taught out by gurus out there. I've been on the receiving end of this message so many times. I think I probably have even taught this message a lot through the years, and that is to think small and go into these micro niches. You don't want to mess around with the big niches, first of all, because the big niches, there's too much competition. There's you really can't compete, right? The small niches is where you can come in there and you can take the low-hanging fruit and you can grab your what you're worth. You as an individual, you're not really ready for the big time yet, so you can come in there and grab these little pockets of easy money. But it wasn't until this is one of the people in my group, again, we're all kind of like pushing the envelope together, but realizing that what's stopping us from going after the big niches? There's nothing. Again, this is a mindset thing, right? Once we dove into the big niches, and the big niches, for those of you who don't know, most of you probably do, the big three niches are health, wealth, and relationships. So, there's health, and there's all kinds of health products out there, weight loss and stuff. There's wealth, make money, and then there's dating offers and stuff like that, right? So those are the big niches. Those are the broad niches. Those are the niches that span across almost everybody on the globe. So you're not targeting some tiny little niche of how to, like raise goats. You're talking about, 95% of the women out there would love to lose a few pounds, and they're willing to pay money to do it. Guys want to be stronger. Guys want, attention from women. These are like the basic core human needs that people have. These are the big niches. That's why you can target everyone. And that was like such a big turnaround moment for me when I realized that when you're using paid traffic, when you're doing SEO, there's tons of competition. But when you're doing paid traffic, it's much more simple than that. And once you just get a couple of little things dialed in, it's no longer really a matter of money. You don't have to have more money than the big guy, not really, because you can scale. You can scale from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 to 20,000, even to 100,000. One of the guys in our group is literally doing $50,000 to $100,000 every single day right now. And that all started back in the same place with me, doing zero, doing nothing. So that's definitely not possible with small niches. You have to go after the big niches.
So just for comparison, we mentioned the T-shirts earlier, so it's a good example. Some people, when they're starting out doing, Facebook advertising, for example, they might do a T-shirt campaign where they go to one of the networks that the T-shirt networks, and they may find a real targeted niche of people that like, a specific kind of dog or a football team or something, right. And then they'll come up with a T-shirt that speaks to their identity, and then they run some ads to that group. And, a lot of people just starting out, they like that because they're able to have some quick, small wins. But what they run into is, audience sizes that run out fairly quickly. They can't scale it. So they're on, I think you called it the treadmill, right?
Treadmill effect.
Yeah, the treadmill effect, where it's like you're always starting over, it seems, And with big niches, I noticed a question as I was skimming through the hundreds of comments that we've got in the question box. He said, so it's been 18 months. Is this method saturated or not going to work soon? And it's great he asked that before you got into this topic, so it may make more sense now. But that's the beauty of targeting the big niches, is that you don't have to worry about saturation because you're fishing in a much bigger pond. You're in the ocean rather than being in this dinky little pond. So saturation is not an issue. You can scale up to an almost unlimited amount. Definitely the scale is a lot bigger than you have to ever worry about being able to handle. So that's the second big point that we wanted to make, is that targeting big niches is key to having this big success and scaling up to the level that Gary has and that all the people who've been using this system have been able to scale. So let's continue onward, and let's go ahead and jump into the no product funnel. So I know everybody wants to see exactly what is involved. And this is just a quick run through. Again, it's dead simple. There's only 3 steps. It's responsible for making Gary the #1 affiliate on Clickbank several times, making upwards of $100,000 per week. Here's how it works. And it's almost unbelievably simple. So this is what it looks like. There's 3 simple steps. The first step is your Facebook ad. The second step is your pre-sale page. And the third step is an affiliate offer. And that's it. That's the entire no product funnel. Okay, now we're going to get into exactly what you have to do to make it work. There's some important things, but that's the general overview. Okay, so before we go on, does everybody understand that? This is just a Facebook ad to a pre-sale page to an affiliate offer. Jean-Pierre says no Facebook page. No, you don't. Well, just to run ads, yeah, but you don't have to send anybody to a Facebook page. It's just a newsfeed ad that links to a pre-sale page off of Facebook that then links to an affiliate offer. Yeah, no email opt-in. We don't build lists using this method. Very simple. Cool. Sounds like people can wrap their minds around the system. So let's jump through each of these. So the Facebook ads, the goal of the Facebook ad is to grab attention and get the click. That's the biggest thing. Wouldn't you agree, Gary?
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's all it is you just want them to click from that ad onto your pre-sale page, and then that's where you move to the next step. It's very, very straightforward.
So of course you're already, we've already talked about you're targeting big niches. Okay, so you're able to target broad audiences. And so you grab their attention, you get the click. So, so the pre-sale page. The pre-sale page, why don't you talk a little bit about the mindset and the role of the pre-sale page? Because I think you could say it better than I can.
Well, sure. Yeah, no problem. From the ad, I'll just back up a little bit here, but go back to the ad. The ad, the essential purpose there is just to get someone from the social media setting. We're talking about Facebook here, and we don't just do Facebook. We do also, other types of ads, but primarily we're just going to talk about Facebook today. But with Facebook, everybody's in a social mindset, right? When you're on Facebook, you're just there to talk about friends. In fact, the ads and stuff that you see, usually just kind of ignore those, right? You think so anyway. You think most people do. But the whole purpose of that ad is just to get the click, just to get the click. And we have special ways of doing that where, I've seen people in the comments here talking about how can you compete, when the cost per click is so high. Well, we're going to get into that. Actually, the cost per click is nothing. It is nothing. The cost per click only needs to be lower than, half of what you're making anyway, right? So if you're spending $1, you want to make $2. So it doesn't really matter what the cost per click is. But anyway, so that's kind of the purpose of the ad. And then when you get into the pre-sale page, the pre-sale page is very, very essential. And I think most people don't even realize this. I don't know. I would love to ask people. In fact, I'd like to ask people right now, they're on this call, if you've ever run ads, do you use a pre-sale page? And what I mean is, do you send people directly to an offer? Do you send people directly to the sales page? Or do you send them to like an intermediate page, or what we call a bridge page or a pre-sale page, where you sort of transition them from that social mindset to a buyer mindset? Because if you're not already doing that, I can tell you right now, you're probably leaving so much money on the table. You're probably, in fact, failing, and you're like, screw this. Like, screw Facebook. I'm not making any money here. This is ridiculous. But if you don't realize, because I didn't know this, when I first got started, I didn't really realize that the pre-sale page was so vital to the process. But the pre-sale page is important because you're going to take somebody from a social setting, you're going to entice them to click through, and you're going to have a relevant pre-sale page that is going to subtly shift their mind from thinking social to thinking about this problem that they have. And so this is your opportunity to take about a minute of their time to transition and just slowly ease their mind away from the social setting into slowly transition them into sort of this thinking about their problem, and then you're going to click them through to the offer page where they're going to be in full-on, solve my problem mode, which is also short for buy mode, right? So that whole process is essential. If you do not have that process in place, I can't imagine how you could. There are very rare cases where you can send somebody directly from a link, an ad to a sales page. But I've never been able to do that. I've never really tried because this is so much better. You would think you've been taught in the past probably the fewer clicks the better, right? You only want to take somebody give them 1 click or 2 clicks at the most to get them to the offer. But this is actually different. I mean, if you spend the time to transition their mindset, you're going to make so much more money, so much more money.
And I think this is going to become even more clear as we start going through the secrets to success, the keys to success. That should give people just a general idea of the, I guess, the architecture, how the no product funnel works and the different components. And as we go into the keys to success, I think it's going to become clearer what role, what sort of turns the dial and what the important things are that are going to shoot your results up. And because right now it probably seems too simple, and it's like, well, okay, I see that the steps, I see the components, but I don't understand how to get, from beginner to making this work. And so we're going to jump into that. So offer is simple. The offer's job is to convert traffic, and since it's affiliate offers, it's all around picking the right offer. And we'll get into more on that in a little bit. So let's jump into the keys to success. There are 3 critical keys to success that we want to focus on. If you get any of these wrong, then the method will fail. So this is important, and it's simple. There's only 3 primary keys, but you got to get them right. So this is important. So let's jump into these. The first key number 1, is around the offer. It's all about the offer. You only want to promote offers that convert like crazy. Okay, you want to promote the top offers. You want to promote offers that convert to cold traffic, to big, broad audiences. You want to follow basically all the advice we've given you so far. You want to think big. You want to go after big niches, and you want the offers that convert in big niches.
Once you have your hands on an offer that converts, there's affiliates. I mean, there are product vendors out there much better than me or Rob even, when it comes to like how to create an offer that kills it for the affiliate. So once you can recognize what those things are, it becomes very, very simple, to find the offer that you want to be promoting.
What are the key points? It has to convert to cold traffic, right?
Well, for me, it needs to be a broad audience sort of offer. So again, one of the big 3 niches, that's pretty much all I go for. So it needs to be health, wealth, or a relationship. So health, or make money, or to fix a relationship. So it's got to solve one of those core human needs. And so that's pretty easy to find those kind of offers because they're everywhere. The next thing I would say is that whoever the vendor, like the person that's creating this offer, they need to go at this offer with their sole purpose of the offer needs to make the affiliate rich. It needs to be, my purpose here, I'm here to work for you to make you filthy rich. It's not so that I can get as much of the money on the front end as possible. Like the best vendors, they don't give a rat's ass, pardon my French, from making as much money as they can on the front end. So they're not going to do some 50%, payout or even 60% payout. They're going to be willing to pay you like they pay me, like 90% of the front end, sometimes even 100%. Usually not, but when you're like crushing it and you're sending them, hundreds of sales per day, they will pretty much gladly send you a 90%. And the reason is because on the back end, that's where they're making all their money. You're basically sending them a free customer, and that customer to them might be worth $100 or $150 after the sale is made. So let's say that they make $100 off of the front end of the offer, right? They have a $27 offer with a $47 upsell and whatever. Maybe they're making $140, and they're willing to pay out like $120 or $130 of that to you because they don't care. They just made $10 and they got a free customer, and you did all the work to send that customer to them. Now they have a perfectly good buyer, what we call a buyer, right? A perfectly good customer who's not done spending. The customer is never done spending. So the customer now will go out and buy something else from them, and they know, because this is a science. Let's face it. You know that if you have 100 customers, you know how much money you're going to make off the back end from that customer. That's what these vendors know, and that's what they're banking on. When they're set up the front end, they'll do all this work to set up the front end offer, like on Clickbank or something, or through a CPA network, just to make that affiliate super wealthy so that they never, ever want to stop promoting that product so that they'll send them free customers all day long.
So we're getting a little bit behind, so let's sum it up real quick. So the offer, it's got to be a big niche. It's got to convert like crazy, and they need to have a vendor who is affiliate friendly, who works for the
Sure.
affiliate to make the affiliate money, and that's their primary focus, right? Who wants to be a partner with you and who will reward you for sending them more and more customers, and with prizes and additional payouts and things like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool. So let's keep on moving forward so we can keep this going, so we don't run out of time. So key number 2 is high click-through rates. Essentially high click-through rate, and people don't realize this, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier where you were talking about the cost per click, but I don't think people realize that when you get really high click-through rates, it equals cheap clicks. I don't know that, and this was a bit of an epiphany for me, that I didn't understand how the ad networks worked, that they're essentially charging that even if you're doing cost per click or these different things, it's all basically a cost per impression for the network. And so they do the math behind the scenes, and it's however many impressions, here's how much it costs. So if you get way more clicks, then your clicks are going to be cheaper. So how important is it, Gary, if you can just explain, based on your experience, what sort of difference does it make to have a high click-through rate ad versus a low click-through rate ad? I mean, is this like a critical thing? Is this like kind of important?
Oh, well, it's a key because it's critical. If you don't have high click-through rates on your ad, we're talking about on your ad really. If you don't have like a high CTR, so a click-through ratio on your ad, then you fall into you're just a failing, starving affiliate, right? But if you can literally go from like, I don't know what the industry standard for Facebook would be, about 0.1% click-through ratio, right? So out of you might get 1 out of 1,000 people to click your ad. You can do as much as 10 or 15% consistently, which is about what I do. I think maybe 8% or something like that, consistently. And imagine the difference. Can't do the math in my head. I'm not great at that, but you figure somewhere between a 10, like 0.1% click-through ratio versus a 10% click-through ratio. It's 100 times more traffic that you're going to generate for the same amount of views. You're getting 1 out of 10 people. So
real quick, let's just ask the audience. So how many of you are promoting on Facebook, and what kind of click-through rates do you get on your ads? Like, what would you say is your average? What's your best? Just plug in. I know we have some people on here that advertise. Ronald says 0.28. James says 1 to 2%. Michael's doing really well. Hussein says 0.5%. Bernard is not doing any ads. So yeah, 1 to 2% is generally regarded as pretty damn good. But
no, 1 or 2% would be crushing it compared to what most people that I talk to. It's like 10 times higher than normal, probably.
So if you see the screenshot here, the high click-through rates, you see that these are high click-through rates, and the result is you see 42,000 clicks at 13 cents a click, 37,000 clicks at 8 cents a click. So for those of you who are getting high click-through rates, are you getting these high click-through rates and this volume? So just go ahead and type in. Are you also so those of you who type that you're getting really high click-through rates, are you also getting tens of thousands of clicks? I think a few people are saying it's. Well, one person said it's breaking up, so I think we're okay on sound. Cool. So anyway, so let's jump into key number 3. So we just wanted to hammer home the idea that if you get high click-through rates, it equals cheap clicks. Key number 3, images are the key to getting high click-through rates. So here we scrolled over, and you see on this same screenshot, 18.8% click-through rate, 42,000 clicks at 13 cents a click, 1,000 clicks at 11 cents, an 8% click-through rate. We got a 15% click-through rate at 37,000 clicks. That's 8 cents a click. This is insane volume. And the reason why the clicks are so cheap is because of images. So you want to talk about images for just a minute, Gary, and maybe like
Sure.
some discoveries you made there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so like Rob was saying, if you can get 100 clicks out of 1,000 impressions, out of the same traffic, I mean, that is huge, huge, huge. I would say that 80% of the click-through ratios from your ad, and I would suspect it's probably more like 95%, being conservative here, at least 80% of the click-through ratio from your ad depends almost solely on your image. I mean, that was a huge discovery for me. So yes, of course, you need to have ad copy that reinforces your ad and sets the stage for the landing page or the pre-sale page, but the image is like all important to me. There are images that work, and then there are images that don't work, and of course there are images that just explode. I mean, that just blow up to my 10, 15% click-through ratios. And yes, that is a pretty consistent thing for me.
So how much testing do you think you had to do before you started to discover what works?
Well, okay, I'll be real honest about that. It started out being like a lot of work. I imagine like everybody, we sort of stumbled across a couple, like one specific image that just blew it up. I mean, blew up big time to this about 10%, right? And so we spent I don't know how long, weeks, maybe even months trying to figure out what was so special about this one image, and then we found a couple more and a few more. Over time, we discovered that there are these similarities between all these images that we're using. We kind of honed in on it. We figured out sort of the system. There are several different types of images that do so much better. And if you can find those same kinds of images, you can spot them in a crowd, right? You can see, oh yeah, that would fall into it. There's actually a system that we go through to find our images, and so we consistently, I'd say I never get less than a 5%. In fact, if I get a 5% click-through rate, I'm throwing that image away. You believe that? That's the truth. I'm shooting for 12% every single time, and I start getting depressed when it gets less than 8%. 5% goes in the trash. But most people out there would probably think I'm crazy for that. But that's because I know what I'm looking for. I know exactly what to do when it comes to images. I think that this is probably one of the big separators between me and any other super affiliate, I guess you would call us, versus the average guy out there who's banging their head against the wall, and probably given up on Facebook altogether, thinking it doesn't even work. If you had this kind of image, if you had an image that would pull you 10% CTR, do you think that Facebook would work for you?
So
seriously.
So here's the thing. So like, if you follow all of the steps, if you're going after a broad audience, and you've got an offer that converts to that audience, and that's important. You get the right audience, and you get the offer that converts like crazy to them. Then you've got images that get you these kinds of click-through rates and these kinds of cost per click. Once you've got all of the pieces of the puzzle, the bottom line is you got the right audience, big audience, high click-through rate images and ads, a proven pre-sale page that works, that shifts that mindset properly from social to buyer's mindset, and the right high converting offer. Do you see how simple it is to profit from your ads and to start scaling it up to this level? Does that make sense? Getting a lot of yeses. Cool. Okay, so there's a huge. So let's continue onward. Let's jump into the question that may be on your mind right now. So if it's so simple, then why isn't everybody doing it right now? Why aren't there like a gazillion super affiliates doing this, since it's just 3 steps? And there's a handful of reasons for this, and we want to go through them one by one to give you an idea of the problems that you'll face and how you can deal with them. So there are 5 roadblocks, primary roadblocks, that separate small-time affiliates who have very little success and maybe burn out in the beginning and quit from super affiliates who have the big wins, like you see here, the guys that are at the top 1% like Gary and the others who are following these methods. So the first roadblock is bad math. And so let me demonstrate this, and we're going to tie it back to some of the stuff that we've already shown you, and it's pretty simple. The formula is simple. So you want this is like buy low, sell high. You want low cost per click and high earnings per click. So you want to pay as little as you can for your clicks, and you want to make as much as you can. Does that make sense? Buy low, sell high equals big profit. So some of the problems that could happen if you have a low click-through ratio, then you're going to have a high cost per click, and your ads will fail. And the causes for this could be bad images, like we said, the wrong audience. You're not targeting the proper audience for your offer. Low EPCs or earnings per click, your ads are going to fail as well. And the causes for this are, again, maybe the wrong audience, or maybe you don't have the right offer for that audience, or you don't have the right audience to offer match, or you have a bad pre-sale page that doesn't do a good job of agitating that problem and shifting their mindset from the social mindset to the buyer's mindset. So that's basically it. Low cost per click, high earnings per click equals big profit. So generally, people have a low click-through rate, or they have a low EPC, and one of those things leads to failure. The second roadblock is low payouts, and people don't realize this. You kind of hinted at this. The question is, how can you compete in the field so you mentioned, Gary, that there's certain affiliates who will work with you if you're having good success, and they will do things like bumping up your payouts. A 50% commission, they'll bump it up to as much as 90% or more. So when you're a super affiliate, when you can drive big traffic, when you can make sales, you get higher payouts. So that drives up, and just jump back to number one, this all ties back. If you're getting higher payouts, you get a higher earnings per click. So you're making more money off of each click. So this gives you a massive advantage. So that's roadblock number two. Affiliates often get lower payouts. Super affiliates get higher payouts. Roadblock number three, and you probably could speak specifically to this, Gary, low cash flow. So an example like Clickbank is a typical payout on Clickbank is what, 2 to 3 weeks from the point of sale?
Right, it's something like that. I forget because I haven't been doing that. We get paid like once every 3 days from Clickbank, but that's one of the perks of being considered a super affiliate by Clickbank. So the Clickbank CEO calls me up on the phone and offers me a special deal, where they're wanting to run these programs for their best affiliates. And they want to give special payouts because they're trying to compete with these CPA networks who will pay out daily. And we do get paid out daily from CPA networks. You start out, getting paid every week or two, and then next thing you know, when you're able to send them, $50,000 or $100,000 a day, they're willing to pay out daily. And so what that does for you, let's just stick on Clickbank. If you're going to get paid out every 3 days from Clickbank versus every 3 weeks or every 2 weeks or whatever it is, it's like 7 times more money that you have to spend. So let's just imagine that you only have, say that you have like $3,000 to spend or something like that. Let's just keep it real simple. Let's say that you have $21,000 in credit cards or whatever that you can spend on ads over the next 3 weeks, about $1,000 a day. And for some of you, that might not be the case. That's fine. Even if it's $100 a day. Say it's $2,100. That's what your ad spend is for the next 3 weeks. Well, that limits you to spending only $100 a day. And a lot of you are probably thinking like, yeah, how can I compete if I can, if I don't have the kind of money? That's because in a couple of months you will. I didn't, is like the first guy that I started working with. He was only making $100 a day. He was only spending $100 a day. Well, I can tell you right now, he's doing about $40,000 a day. And this hasn't been that long. This was last year when he started. So you don't have to make that much money today. You just have to make that much money tomorrow so you can scale up. And the more money you make, it's like the faster they'll pay you out. So now we're getting paid out every 3 days from Clickbank, where all of our competitors are getting paid out every couple of weeks.
So just to compare, like if you've got like you said, your example, $21,000 budget, $1,000 a day. If you're getting paid every 3 days, that same budget becomes $7,000 a day
per day. Exactly.
with the
And that's
exact
all
same
from
amount of money.
all just from a phone call. And the phone call happens because you attain a certain level of sales, and suddenly you get on their radar, and then they literally call you up and tell you like, yeah, we want to give you special treatment because you're kind of crushing it. So you can see how you can sort of step it up. You can get your high CTR images, and then that bumps you up, and next thing you know, you're making several $1,000s a day. Suddenly they notice you, and now they want to start paying you 90% instead of 70%, and then Clickbank wants to start paying you every 3 days instead of every couple of weeks, and that all kind of comes together, and next thing you know, it's like all of the resistance is out of the way. All the roadblocks are out of the way, and you're just like, it's just becomes super easy for you. It's almost unfair, really.
So the difference between affiliates and super affiliates, super affiliates get paid faster. They don't run into the same cash flow issues that your standard affiliate is. So continuing onward, roadblock number 4, no insider knowledge. One of the benefits of being a super affiliate is you tend to have super affiliate friends. So super affiliates can ask their friends what's converting best, what's working now. Like Gary, if you ran into an issue, like if something was going on with your ads, wouldn't the first thing you do would be to talk to some other affiliates and say, okay, what's happening over there?
Well, there's 2 things that I'm always doing. One is I'm always networking with my close sort of like inner circle of other affiliates that are kind of crushing it. Somehow we just sort of gravitate together. And then the other thing is I'm just testing out, new offers. You can tell. I mean, you can go to Clickbank and you can see the top offers. It's very easy. I can show you exactly how to find the top offers over there. And generally, if they're the number 1 or number 2, 3, top 10 Clickbank offers, they are good working offers for cold traffic. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at the top like that. And they are the types of people who do know how to treat their affiliates well, or they wouldn't be at the top like that. But yes, for sure, the number 1 way to find the killer offers is just through talking with your friends. Somebody in my circle always knows what the biggest offer is.
And not even just offers either, right? It's like, what pre-sale pages are working right now, which ones aren't working so well anymore.
It all kind of just rolls in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess you could call that insider knowledge. It's just sharing information because they want to reciprocate. I'm going to tell them something that they don't know, and they're going to tell me something that I don't already know. Things change kind of fast. All
right, so that's roadblock number 4, is not having the insider knowledge. Roadblock number 5, account shutdowns. So most affiliates, if their account gets closed, that's the end, right? They pick up and leave. That's all there is in for it. And that's not how super affiliates work, right, Gary?
Well, that's not how we think. I mean, I think that's how we started out thinking. This is a pretty critical thing too. So what happens is you have all this potential to be, again, we use this term super affiliate loosely because it's the best way to describe this. But yeah, if the difference between a super affiliate and a regular affiliate is that the affiliate will start having success, and then they'll get their account shut down, and then they'll just give up. I've seen so many people do this. They kind of come in, and suddenly they start making, few $1,000s a day. Their ad accounts get shut down. They're like, they pack their bags and they're gone, and I never hear from them again. I'm like, that's so sad because it's not difficult to overcome this problem. I'm telling you, people think it's so hard for some reason. It's probably the number 1 thing that I hear. But it's just not. It's so easy to just set up a new account. You just got to know what you're doing. I suppose this could also be considered inside information because most people out there, like if you went out and tried to figure out how to do this on your own, it would probably be very confusing and difficult. You wouldn't really know what to do. And if you went out on a forum and tried to search for it and find, how do I set up a new account, they'd be giving you bad advice. But once you know what you're doing, I mean, it's a one. Get an ad account shut down one day and you're back up and running the next. So it's not as big of a deal as what people think.
So it's a bit of a shift in
a game stopper though.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a shift in mindset.
It's mindset for sure.
Like removing a limitation that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
And it's a big one. It's a big one for people.
All right. So continuing onward, let's recap what we've covered so far. So we started off, we showed why limiting beliefs are holding you back, and how getting big results in affiliate marketing is really not that much different than getting small results. And aiming big is the important thing here. And if you can remove those limiting beliefs and just go for the big wins, that it's just as simple as going for the small wins in many cases. We talked about why you should be targeting big niches instead of small niches so that you don't run into a ceiling, so that you don't have to worry about saturation, so that you can scale up as big as you want. And, it's all about you're not going to accidentally get rich if you're aiming for a small win. Whereas if you're aiming for a big win and you fail, well, you know what? Your failure could still be a pretty decent win. So it's just not a lot of people think that way. And if you can start thinking that way, it's very beneficial and it can be very profitable. We went through the 3 secrets. Secret number 1, only promote the top performing offers that match up to your market. Secret number 2, and also the offers that have the right kind of vendors who will work with the affiliates to make you as much money as possible. Secret number 2 is the huge effect that high click-through rates have on your cost per click. That essentially high click-through rates equal cheap clicks. Secret number 3, that images are the key to high click-through rates and getting those cheap clicks. So then we went through the advantages that super affiliates have over your typical affiliate. Number 1, how super affiliates make the math work in their favor. Number 2, how super affiliates can get higher payouts, which again helps to make the math work in their favor. How they have higher cash flow. They have methods for getting more cash flow to the point where a typical affiliate just can't even compete with their budgets, even though it doesn't take a lot more money to, when you have high cash flow. We talked about the insider knowledge advantage, and we talked about how super affiliates deal with account shutdowns and these sort of stumbling blocks that for most people would be just a giant wall, but for super affiliates, really just a stumbling block. So let me just ask you, is this making sense? So far, have you had any aha moments? Can you just type in if this is making sense and if you've had any sort of big aha moments while we've been on the call? Dave says very cool and makes sense. We got yes with a lot of S's. Jerry says awesome. Nicole says yes. Jared says great ideas shared. Wanda says makes sense. Cool. So it makes sense to a lot of people. That's good. So let me ask you a question. Do any of you feel like this, like maybe a little bit overwhelmed? Like, okay, I get the basic premise. I get, the individual things that I need to do, but it still seems like a lot. And let me just ask you, would you like to know more? Would you like to know how we do this? And maybe, we've set up a program. How many of you would like to know more about how you can take a next step and work with us to do this yourself? Okay, cool. Lots of yeses coming in. Very excited, very much putting it all together. Oh yeah, yes, let's see the deal. Sure, I'd like to know how. Cool. Yeah. Big wall of yeses. I think they want to hear it, Gary. So let's jump into it. So we want to introduce you to a program that we've put together. It's called the Overnight Super Affiliate. And Gary reached out to me, and we partnered up on this. And here's what is included if you join us today. So here's what our members will get. So first of all, you get 6 weeks of training with us. We'll do the coaching with you. And like we mentioned at the beginning of the call, Gary has done this once live in person at his home in San Diego. And at that time, he charged $5,000. And those attendees who paid that money to work closely with Gary, 60% of them made money within 3 weeks. And remember, this is a small group in person working closely with Gary, and 60% of them made money within 3 weeks, right? But even then, Gary, I remember getting on the phone with you when you were running that training event, and you actually had expressed frustration to me. Even at your high success rate, at those people who weren't having the success, and you were saying, you couldn't get them to just do it, just do the system, right? They're just getting in their own way mentally, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, well, I mean, it's no offense to those particular people either, because, it's like everybody has their own hang-ups. I do, you do, everybody does their own issues and belief problems and stuff that get in their way of success. But I just had these big, lofty goals of everybody having success with this program because I thought everybody could. But it was kind of frustrating for me because some of the people in that room, like you said, 60% of the people, I've never experienced that before, where 60% of the students, are having success, and they've all gone through the exact same training, mind you, right? And we're not talking about $100 a day here either, kind of success. We're talking about thousands of dollars a day, life-changing amounts of money for pretty much everybody in the room. For most people, I think that would be true. I think on average, most of those 60% earned a couple $1,000s a day, right? At least, maybe even like $2,500 or more. So it's pretty big money. And of course, we're telling the other students about their fellow students' success too. And that's where I started getting a little bit like frustrated, because I just really wanted everybody to take action, right? But for some reason, these other people just couldn't do it. They couldn't take action for their own personal reasons. Maybe they didn't believe in me or the program or themselves, whatever it is. But they see these other people right next to them doing it, and I knew that was really all that was separating them from their own success. Was pretty frustrated by it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's overwhelm is the biggest thing that was stopping people from taking action. But so that's the first issue that people ran into was, for whatever reason, getting overwhelmed or whatever, they're just not taking action. And then the second issue, weren't there people, I think you mentioned that there were people in the group who weren't having success at first because they weren't actually like really following the system closely. They were changing things, or basically they were trying to recreate the wheel. When you had a system, a proven system laid out for them, and so they're changing things and they're having failures. And finally you reached out and you're like, look, just do what I say. Just do it.
God damn it, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I'm looking around and there's just a few people that are trying to reinvent the wheel. And I'm like, okay, all right, so how can we fix this? All right, so listen, okay, I've already shown you exactly what to do. So are you, all you really have to do is just emulate what I'm doing, right? So have you done exactly what I showed you yet? And usually the response would be something like, well, yeah, I mean, not exactly, right? I mean, I wanted to do it in my own niche, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I see what's going on here. So let's hold on a second. I'm going to get on the phone with you tonight, and I'm going to walk you through it, and then we'll do it, and then like 15 minutes later, they're like, seriously? Like, that's really all I had to do was just exactly how you laid it out? I'm like, yeah. So I tell them, all right, you've got it set up now, just go to sleep, and wake up tomorrow.
Yeah, I love that line. So, just go to sleep.
Just go to sleep, man. Just take it easy. And so anyway, they wake up in the morning. By breakfast time, they've already made like $500 or $600. By noon, they're at $1,500. And then by the end of the day, they're creeping up on like $2,000 or $3,000. And I'm talking to them on Skype or and just seeing just like this have this breakthrough moment, right? And they just realize at that moment that they have this huge wake-up call moment, and they realize that all they really had to do was just take action, and then follow the steps. And then they realized that they had really been overcomplicating it. It was one of the big problems. So you really just have to follow the stuff that we teach.
Yeah. So what we did, Gary and I, based on these experiences back then that people had. And the people that had success, what they did, and the people that struggled, the struggles that they faced. When we created this training, and of course we'd love it if we could get you into a room one-on-one with you, face-to-face directly, and just show you everything person to person. You could fly out to San Diego, you could come to Gary's home like these people did. He could show you everything like that first small group. unfortunately, that's not really practical. It's not really possible to do that with everybody. We don't have the time to do that again. Unfortunately, we'd love it if we could, but so instead what we did was we put together a training and we structured it we learned from that experience and we structured it very specifically in a way that deals with the common obstacles that people face. So we wanted to make it even more effective. Okay, we wanted you to be able to go through this system at the right pace, so you don't get overwhelmed and you get the right steps so that you have the biggest chance for success. Okay, we don't want to overwhelm you. We want to give you exactly what you need to know at exactly the right moment. We want to make sure that you learn the right stuff in order so that you can have success, so that you can avoid the problems that some people face, inaction and overcomplicating things. Okay, so we want to keep it simple. So let's quickly run through everything that's included. So first of all, you get everything from A to Z. So we're going to show you the full system from start to finish. Okay, we're going to go through Facebook Ads 101. Gary does a training on Facebook, so even if you're an advanced marketer and you've done Facebook ads before, you should still go through this. Because, if you've never done Facebook ads before at all, this is going to be extremely valuable for you because Gary takes you through by the hand to show you exactly what to do to get started and just as important, what not to do. Most people overcomplicate this, which is why I say even if you're an intermediate or an advanced marketer, you should still go through this section because you might need to unlearn a few things that are holding you back, or you might need to find out what stuff you shouldn't be bothering with that most people are wasting their time on. Because we have a mindset, we have an approach that we've learned over the years that has worked really well for us. And this is basically like the 80-20 approach that we've taken to the extreme. So, for Gary and I, we're at more like 95-5 or 99-1. That's what we're aiming for. So, we simplify things to the point where we do only what matters. We only focus on what matters, okay? Like on this method, we don't build an email list because we make more money without it, and it's simpler. Simpler is better, stuff like that. So anyway, tangent there. So we jump into Facebook Ads 101. Next, we get into creating ads that get clicks. And this is just killer training, unlike anything you've ever seen out there. So even if you're an advanced marketer, you're already advertising on Facebook, you'll be able to instantly hop into this module, the first module, and immediately start making more money because you'll be able to get higher click-through rates, cheaper clicks, and you'll see the secrets that help Gary to succeed and to beat out the big competition even with lower budgets. And then we go through pre-sale pages that work. And there's actually only 2 pre-sale pages that Gary uses for everything he does. Now, don't get me wrong, he's tested a ton of stuff, okay? It takes time to go out. You could find out what other people are doing. You could spend a lot of time and money to test it. And then finally, maybe you dial into what works and what doesn't if you're lucky. And we're actually going to just give you don't have to do all that. We're actually just going to give you the pre-sale pages that Gary uses. There's only 2 styles he uses, and actually 1 style he uses for almost everything. There's another style for a handful of situations, but chances are you'll just use the one. All you have to do is copy it. So you can just go in, download it, upload it to your web page, and we show you in what we call newbie-proof videos. Okay, very short and simple. We show you how to upload it to your site, even if you've never done any website stuff at all. We make it as simple as possible. You don't need anything at all. You don't need WordPress. You don't need funnel builders. You don't need landing page creation tools. You don't need any website builders. You don't even need a website. You just need this one pre-sale page. Okay, so you just upload it. You follow the simple videos. There's a handful of 5-minute videos for each step. I think there's one 10-minute video for one of the steps. If you want to get a little bit advanced, it's optional. But you just upload it, and there's a lot of psychology that goes into these, but it's all built in, right? So you don't have to be like a psychologist. And we go through the training. We show you exactly what the psychology is, what makes it work so well. But all you have to do is just follow the steps that we lay out for you. It's kind of like if you've ever done those Mad Libs things when you were a kid, where they have you fill in what's an action verb for this, and what's a noun, like a fruit or something. And then you go through and you got this whole funny story, except in this case, instead of a funny story, you've got a pre-sale page that works. Okay, so it's kind of like that. So you just go in, make the edits like we show you, and you're good to go. and you can advertise that page. So that's it for the pre-sale pages. We just give you exactly what you need. Not a lot of thought involved there or big decisions. You just follow the steps. Next, we go into finding offers to promote. And it's more than just, you can go over to Clickbank, to the marketplace. You just click on that search button, and it'll show you the top 10 offers on Clickbank, what they are, the top performing offers, ones that are selling the most. You can go through the top 10 or top 20, and usually most of those are pretty good offers to promote with this system, but not always. So, to take it beyond that, you really got to have the right vendor. And not every one of those offers is ideal for promoting to cold traffic, to paid traffic, Facebook traffic, this kind of stuff. Some of the vendors on there used to be really good, and things have changed. They're now no longer very affiliate friendly. They don't fit into our system anymore. So we show you exactly how you can find out who the right vendors are. We teach you exactly how to do it, how to reach out to them so that they will do practically all the work for you. They'll hand it to you on a silver platter if you know how to approach them. They will show you what demographics to target for their offer. They'll show you what kind of traffic is converting. They'll show you which traffic source is working best. They'll show you, this is if you know how to approach them. You know how to approach them. It's so simple. And this gives you such a huge advantage. I'll just give you this stuff, but you have to approach them in the right way. We show you how. And then we go into, and this is absolutely killer. High CTR image file and checklist, high click-through rate image file and the checklist. So this is huge. So over time, and Gary's been advertising on Facebook for I think over 2 years now, and over time he spent a boatload of cash on ads. As I'm sure you can imagine, he's had a lot of winners. He's had a lot of bombs too. Of course, he doesn't talk about all the bombs, but he's got
talk about those.
you gotta go through some, you gotta sort through some garbage.
Yeah.
Find the jewels, right? And now you could go out there if you want. You could spend a ton of money like Gary did to find out the stuff. You can try and see what other people are doing. You could test ads that are like the ones you see on Facebook and prove to yourself how much most ads suck. You could try and mimic it, see what works, and test it. Chances are you're going to fail a lot if you do that. You're going to lose a lot of money like Gary did in the beginning. At least he had a big budget to spend. He was in that situation coming off the back of a big launch. He had the money to burn, and so he was able to get through that point. Maybe you wouldn't be able to. Most of the ads out there just absolutely suck. And you'll see when you go through the first training, as soon as you sign up, you'll immediately see. Like you'll immediately start to get it. You'll be like, wow, this stuff, I never even saw it like this. It's just going to blow your mind. As soon as you go through this, I guarantee you're going to be like, holy shit, like my mind is blown. I never realized this stuff. It's so obvious now that I know. And then you're going to be scrolling through your Facebook news feed and you're going to be like, wow, I get it. Now I see these ads all suck. I mean, none of these follow these core concepts that make these high click-through rates possible. And now I understand why so many people are struggling, but not you. You're going to have the tools to have that success. So, so what happened to Gary over time, over the last 2 years or more, he's collected all of the images from his ads that have been the winning images. And I'm hoping you're getting the idea of how important images are. It's such a key component. The images, if you get the right image, you can milk that and you can make, we got one in there, it's made multi-millions of dollars. So you can get those high click-through rates and those cheap prices on clicks so that you can compete with the big guys. Okay, and people don't realize this. And I don't know why nobody talks about this, but he's just going to give you, the actual ad images that have worked. And, like I've seen people out there who've put out products that are like, oh, we collected a swipe, quote unquote, swipe file from Facebook of ads. All they did was just collect every single freaking ad on Facebook with, and it's like, who cares? What good is that? I don't want to see a bunch of junk ads. I want to see the ads that actually pulled in the profits. I want to see the images that are going to get me these click-through rates, these high click-through rates and make the money. So these are the actual ad images that got high click-through rates and made big money, the actual images. So we give them to you. You can download them. You can use them however you want. I mean, if you want to, you can upload them and you can test them. You can advertise them with them if you want. We've had some people in our course, they've had success doing that. And That's not how we recommend doing it. But one guy I remember came to us and he was like, I'm only getting 6 to 7% click-through rate. I copied one of your images and I'm only getting 6 to 7% click-through rate. Shouldn't that be better than that? You know? And we're like what? You just did zero work. You didn't even go out and emulate it. You just copied us and you still got a 7% click-through rate. That's crazy, right? But we don't recommend that you do that. Okay. I mean, you can if you want, but we recommend that you use it for inspiration. Okay. You don't just copy it. We don't want to just like give you a fish. We want to teach you how to fish. And we want you to have these stellar results, these Olympic level results like Gary does. And that's the goal with our course. So take that file, use these images as your inspiration, go out and find images that are similar. Okay. Emulate, don't copy. And we teach you how to do that. And we make it as simple as possible. Okay. And we give you the checklist. Gary mentioned that he's got systems for finding images so that he can feel confident right out of the gate. I mean, you remember, if he gets a 5%, he's scrapping that image. If he gets an 8% image, he's getting depressed. Like he said, and the reason is because he knows the results he can get. And the reason he can get these 10 to 20% click-through rates is because he has this file of images that have worked. He has a checklist. He starts off with something to mimic based on what's worked. He has a checklist. Before he ever submits an ad, he runs through his checklist. He compares his ad image to his past images that have worked. And if you've ever heard of sites like AdBeat or What Runs Where or other services like that, I mean, they don't have anything like this for Facebook, but what they do for other ad platforms like banner ads and stuff that obviously don't get as high of an ROI as Facebook. But still, people will literally spend over $500 a month for services like that. And all that it tells them is that here's an ad that's been running for a long time. And then they could kind of guess and extrapolate, like maybe this is a successful ad, or maybe it's just a company that has too big of a budget and they're okay with smaller ROI. You don't know. But even people aren't even certain. But even then, it's still valuable for advertisers. They'll pay that much money for that service, and it'll help them to make more money. It's even more valuable in this case because this is like handing you the keys to the kingdom. Okay, this is exactly what has worked, like legitimately has worked, literally the images that have worked. So you can download it immediately as soon as you sign up. That's by far worth more than anything in here, in my opinion. So this is so critical. But even so, we've added more. So what we started doing, and we've released this a couple of times to small groups of people, and we've added things as we've gone. So we started doing live Q&As because we want to help you to have success. We want to do everything we can to help you have success. So we actually get on every week. We do a live question and answer session. So you can come in, you can ask your questions. We started doing these. We've done several of these now. So as we've been going through this training program for a short while now, we've been tweaking things as we've gone. We'll get a little group in there, we'll run them through, and then we'll see what works, and then we'll add stuff to try to make them even more successful. So we work with people. We find out what they're struggling with, and then we'll add something else to make that even better, remove that obstacle. And of course, over time, we've had a lot of success stories. Nick made $60,000 in his first 45 days. Bonnie's up to $20,000. We just got a report of a guy. He's talking about this is amazing. He just got up to his first $5,000 day. So we've had all these success stories, but even still, we've made a lot of improvements. And like this Q&A is one where we'll make an improvement, and then we'll have another rush of success stories. And this is one of the things that we added that happened with. So we started seeing even more success stories. So Bonnie, there's actually two things that we're going to go through here that helped her suddenly go from struggling at first to having boatloads of success. She's like our star student at the moment. I think she's probably beating everybody else out that has reported their results back. First thing was the live Q&As. So she came in, she took advantage of the live Q&As, asked a few questions, was able to make a few tweaks to her no product funnel. She's already having a little bit of success. But after making a few of these tweaks, it made the huge difference, and her ROI shot up. She just asked a few questions. The next thing, though, that also contributed that we added was the ad challenge. Okay, so I'll just cover both of these. They both helped her out, and they both made a huge improvement in the number of success stories that started coming from our students. So the ad challenge, what it is you can actually submit, like we created an ad mock-up tool in our members area. Our programmer created it. So we had our programmer create a mock-up tool. We're not like super techy or anything, so we just get him to help us with that kind of stuff. We set things up so they're not technical because we don't want to do technical stuff. And we do the same for you, so you don't have to do technical stuff. But anyway, so the ad challenge, what it is, you don't have to go out there and just start advertising before you find out if you've got a good ad and you've got a good chance for success. So you can go in, you can use our mock-up tool, and you could submit your ad to us. And Gary and I, Gary, 7-figure Facebook marketer, me, 7-figure copywriter, both of us hop on and we create videos, and we do this every week. We've done, we're up into, I think we're in the double digits of episodes of the ad challenge. And you could go in and watch these. They're all up in there, the recordings. We're going to be doing a whole bunch more. We do them every week. Sometimes we do multiple episodes per week if we get a lot of ad submissions. We review everybody's ads. So we have a lot of submissions that come in, and it's crazy the difference that this made, especially like at the very beginning, the first week that people submitted their first ads, and that first group of people we put through this training. I think at first, maybe, I don't know why, maybe they were a little complacent. They didn't see it in the past. They didn't know what to do and follow. So I don't know, maybe they did a half-assed, like lazy approach with following, the advice of the ads. And frankly, that first week, we got a lot of bad submissions. Okay, and we told people beforehand, we're going to be totally brutal. We're going to rip your ad to shreds if it's no good. Okay, we're not going to worry about hurting people's feelings. And we're going to do this on purpose because we want you to succeed. Okay, we don't want to sugarcoat it. If you've got a crummy ad, we don't want to sugarcoat it and say, good job, well done, and lead you down the wrong path. We want to say, look, you missed this. Here's what's important. This is not going to work. This is what you need to do to change to make money with this ad. Okay, change your ad like this, and this is how you can turn this into a winning ad. And we went through dozens of ads that first week, and we ripped into them. And frankly, a lot of people made the same mistakes, And we put out that video, the first episode of the ad challenge. And by the way, you can watch there's a bunch of episodes in there. You can watch all the past episodes. You can watch the first one and see all the mistakes, and let's rip it into it. There's a bunch of them. They're about an hour each. They're all in there. And you literally get to see our feedback of how we would change your ad into a winning ad. And the first week, it's pretty dismal submissions, and we just ripped into them. And it's all anonymous, so nobody has to worry about getting embarrassed, right? We don't say like, this is Joe Smith's ad, and Joe Smith put up a really bad ad. Bad job, Joe. It's not like that. It's all anonymous, so nobody has to worry about getting feelings hurt or anything like that. It's all there for your growth and your success. So the second week, though, people watched that first episode of the ad challenge. It's only about an hour long, and they saw the mistakes that so many people were making. There were some common mistakes, and they started to get it, okay? And it's one thing to go through the training, It's another thing to start implementing yourself and then get feedback, okay? And this is so important. This has helped so many people. That second week, it was a complete turnaround. And there's one thing I would say that if there's one thing I would say you should do when you join is watch the ad challenge. Watch as many episodes of the ad challenge as you can, as many as you can set aside the time for. I would say watch every week, every new episode that we put out, and you could keep submitting ads as you go to the ad challenge if you want. If you want us to keep critiquing them, you could submit another ad. See how you improve, see our feedback, because that's the number one thing that's going to contribute to your success is your ads and your images. All the other stuff is like details. It's just you got to get the right offer. It's check, get the right offer. You got to get the right pre-sale page, get it dialed in, check that off. And you got to get the right audience, all that stuff, check. That's all just details. And we give you instructions, simple instructions to do all that. Not a lot of thinking involved. Just follow our advice. The one thing that you really need to master is the ads and the images. And the ad challenge is going to be the biggest thing. And we give you the high CTR image file, so you have a good starting point. You already start out ahead of everybody out of the gates. We do the live Q&As. So even if you have any kind of strategy questions or concerns, if you have any questions or problems, you can come and submit your questions to the live Q&As, and we will answer your questions live. And actually, I forgot to add it, but we've recently added, and this also had a huge increase in success stories, because people were able to start getting their questions answered, even if they didn't have time to come to the live Q&As or they didn't have time to watch, the past recordings of live Q&As, because we have all the recordings of the past live Q&As in the members area. We've been doing this for a while. We'll go on for like 2 or 3 hours until every question is answered. So we've got like, I think it's maybe 18 hours of live Q&As just answering questions. Who has time to go through 18 hours of live Q&As of recordings? We have recordings of every single one in the members area. You can watch them right now if you want to. But what we did next, and this was like a huge undertaking. We needed staff to do this, and it was a pretty massive undertaking. We went through and we broke down each live Q&A into separate videos for each question and answer so that you can see the answers at the touch of a button. You can literally go in, and we have a searchable knowledge base now, video knowledge base, where you could say, type in, how do I find good ad images, or just type images. And, it's like, boop, here's 4 times or 6 times that we answered different varieties of this question. And you could go watch 4 little 2-minute or 3-minute videos where we give you an answer directly to your question. So you don't even have to go through the past live Q&As if you don't have time, and we would recommend it obviously if you've got the time, but any question that you have, you can get answered, and chances are it's been asked in the over 18 hours of live Q&As we've done so far, and we're still doing more of them. So every week we do these, and we've got a whole bunch of more that we need to upload. So there's going to be hundreds of questions in there that are answered. You could get your questions live, and even if you find something that hasn't been addressed, you could come onto the live Q&A and we'll answer for you on the call. So, but back to Bonnie. These things help Bonnie so much. Gary, you've got the numbers. What was the story with Bonnie? How did it come out? Her success.
Well, I mean, I remember like in the beginning, she said that she was struggling. We sent her to check out the ad challenge and the Q&As. She came back a few days later and said that she was excited, right? Because she got her ad up. She was doing like 14% CTR on her ad and a 200% ROI, and so she was just starting to crank it up. We tell people you start on, for the first 3 days, you spend $20 a day. That's enough time to get the algorithm to kind of plug in, and that's enough time to kind of get things going and to know if you want to scale it or not. So she started to scale it, and then she got on to one of the next Q&As, and she said it was 3 weeks in. She said she had done $29,000 in profits so far. In profits, not like gross. But and then 2 weeks later, at 5 weeks, she said she was at 54,000. Last weekend, she said she did $38,000 just over the weekend. Clickbank called her up last week and started paying her out twice a week now. Every 3 days she gets paid. So she's just totally killing it.
Yeah, so
she's like
crazy, right? So you get all of this. So people are asking how much. So the price, and just to preface this, we've had some friends of ours, a couple super affiliates, reach out to us. They saw our training, they went through it, they love it, and they want to sell it for us. Okay, and they've convinced us, we're in talks for this, they've convinced us to sell it because they have experience selling training programs like this. And you see the success stories, the results that students are having. And the price that they want to sell it for is $6,997, and that's what we will be selling this for in the near future when these guys take over. And this is already in talks. We're working this out. If you sign up now, though, you get a big discount. And Gary and I went back and forth on this, and I kind of wanted to charge more. Maybe I'm a little greedy. I don't know.
I won.
fewer students that we can help, and Gary wants to get more through and have some success stories, even more success stories, and see if we can find any chinks in the armor at all, anything we missed, and keep improving. You've seen how much success people are having, but any little improvement to help you have success, we're going to keep improving it as we go. So we're listening to you, your feedback, we're changing things. So the price that you can get it for now, I'll show you the price in just a second, and I'll give you the link to sign up. Couple things first. We do have, we do have a 60-day guarantee. Originally, we weren't going to do that. We were just going to say no refunds. We only want people who are fully committed. But ultimately, we decided, what if somebody's signing up? They don't know us. They don't, that you don't want to feel like you're taking a chance with someone you're not sure if they're going to follow through. We want to let us prove it to you. Let us show you the stuff. You could try it out. You got a full 60 days to go through it to prove that this is the real deal. Okay, so we took all the risk off of your shoulders. We put it on our own shoulders. What else? There's something else that someone pointed out to us, and so now we've been bringing it up because it's so killer and it's helped a lot of people. If you are tight on cash, there's something that's automatic, that's like built into the checkout process. So we made a video. We'll give you the link in just a second. There's a video that walks you through the process of how to use this. It's called PayPal Credit, and PayPal just automatically offers this. You go through, and there's instructions on how to do it. They'll pay for everything, and they'll give you 6 months with no payments and no interest. So you don't have to go out of pocket right now if you sign up for PayPal Credit. And so this is so powerful. Gary calls it other people's money. And he's actually, so you got the story with Nick. Why don't you tell, all right, so I'll show you the price in a sec. We'll give you the link, and then I'll have you tell Nick's story. So we'll hang on just a second for that. One other thing that we get, a lot of people ask, what sort of budget do you need starting out? Okay, and typically what you tell people is 3 days, $20 a day on an ad campaign when you're starting. And that's even if you have, $10,000 or $50,000 ad budget, right? It's just 3 days, at least 3 days, because you got to dial it in.
Well, I have an unlimited ad budget pretty much. For all intents and purposes, and I still do the same thing, $20 a day. I don't know if the offer is going to convert on Facebook, and if I should be spending more time to scale it up or abandon it and move to the next one.
So you don't want to scale an offer up until it's proven. You don't want to risk money. Like Nick, and I'll show you the link in a second, and then after we show you the link, Gary can tell Nick's story. He scaled up like crazy, but he only did it once he found an offer that was working. He didn't take big risks. He got it, so he knew, I've got a machine, I put in $1, it kicks out $2 or $3, and then it's like, that's consistent. Then he knows, okay, start pouring some money into it. So I'll give you the price. The price is $19.97. I think that's like 60 or 70% discount. We also have some additional bonuses I'm going to tell you about in just a minute. And one of the bonuses, there's a story behind it of how Gary was basically, somebody robbed him of $50,000, and he was happy about it. And it's just crazy how it works out. So we'll tell you that, and we'll show you some of the bonuses in a second. The link, here's the link. Gary, do you mind typing that into the chat window so people can click on that? I think there's.
Yeah, I'll try. My webinar is freezing up, but
okay, I'll do it really quick here. While I'm doing that, why don't you tell Nick's story, the OPM method, and what his experience is crazy. He's one of the first students, but I'll type this and hand it off to you.
Sure, yeah. Well, Nick is a great story. It's kind of an inspirational story, really, in a way, but it also is a good example, I think, of how you can use other people's money to be successful at this. I actually call it the OPM method for short, and I think there's several ways you can do it. One is actually to use the credit. You're literally using credit. You're using other people's money to finance your business, which is amazing. In 6 months, most of my students can make money within the first 3, 4 weeks. So, but anyway, Nick is kind of a cool story. He's 26 years old, Nick. He's from California here. He's up the road, though. He's a couple hours up. He actually came to my house. He was one of those students that showed up that weekend at my house. And so I kind of hooked him up, got him going on a funnel, and he started having success real fast. And he's like full of energy, and he's so excited. He got on Skype, and he's like, "Oh, dude, this is so amazing! I got like a 241% ROI." I was like, "This is crazy," but I spent. He says, "I dumped my whole paycheck." So he's a flooring contract. I don't know what it was, maybe $1,000, $1,000 or something. I don't really know. But he dumped his whole paycheck into his ad. And he spent it all like in a day, and he made 241% ROI. I guess that would check out to like $3,500 he made. And then he was like, "But I ran out of money. What do I do?" And what he meant when he said he ran out of money is that all of his money is now sitting on Clickbank, and he's going to have to wait for a couple of weeks to get his first paycheck. And it's not like he ran out of money or he spent all his money. I mean, like he lost that money. he just didn't have any more money to spend on that high performing ad. So I was like, okay, yeah, you need more money, dude. And I was like, do you have somebody who could loan you money? He's like, not really. I wouldn't feel comfortable asking anybody. That's a lot of money. I said, do you have credit cards? He's like, well, I do, but it's maxed out. It's like $5,000 card. I said, can you get more cards? Or is anything else? Can you get your card limit bumped up? So he went back and he took care of business. He came back a couple days later and he started running with using credit. And over the next 45 days, he banked $65,000 using other people's money to do it. He ran out of money. He was still able to bank $65,000, $45,000 of that, or maybe even more, because I just talked to him the other day, and I might have get this a little bit confused. But at least $45,000 of that was pure profit.
And
so that's pretty amazing.
He just turned around and paid off his credit card immediately. I mean, you pay off your credit card, I think it's 28 days you pay it off. There's not even any interest or anything. So it's like you just got free money and just leveraged it. The way I like to explain it is, let's say you start off on Clickbank and there's a 2-week delay, and you find an ad, you're doing your $20 a day ad just to see, testing a few things, following the system. Okay, you start out with the system, start out with what works, and you get to that point where you've got an ad that's doing really well for you. And you're like, okay, this one I put in $100, it's going to pay me back $200 or $300. It's just crushing it. It's like you've got a slot machine that every single time you put in $1, it spits out $2. And the question is, how many dollars do you put in? The answer is all the dollars, right? Because it's going to keep. But here's the thing. It spits out $2 or $3 in 2 weeks. And then you're like, oh, man, I just want to pour more money into it. So because it's just going to consistently spit out money, but I got to wait. The OPM method allows you to pour more money into it. This is how you can leverage things, and you can build it up. So Nick, even though he didn't have a lot of money and he didn't do a lot of risk. First, he tested small. Okay, you have to test small, and $20 a day is enough to test this in a short amount of time and determine if a campaign is working. You don't want to risk a lot. You only want to start pouring money into an ad after it's proven itself. So that's very important. So that's the OPM method. I think that's so critically important that you understand that, but also that you understand that you don't want to risk your money or the OPM method either until you've tested very small. So that's important. So all you have to do is go to getriseacademy.com. You can sign up. The link is in the chat window. Let's hop into the bonuses. We have a number of bonuses and some kind of crazy, shocking stories we're going to share with you. Our bonuses actually, before we do the next level bonuses, so Gary and I, we don't really do one-on-one coaching. And if we had to charge for our time to do one-on-one coaching, we like to set aside our time. Gary likes to hang out with his daughters. I like to travel. We both like to travel. We like to do our own things, and one-on-one coaching takes so much time. If we had to set aside like a price, we would probably charge $1,500 an hour or more, just because we can make so much more money by not doing coaching, because it takes a lot of time. But what we found is that the people who take the fastest, we've noticed this in the few groups that we've done this training with, the people who take the fast action, the action takers, the decisive people that sign up first, are almost always the ones who have the biggest success stories. And so we decided that, okay, we'll bite the bullet. We'll set aside a little bit of time. We don't have a lot of time. We can only do it for the first 5 people to sign up. There's a lot of people on the call. I don't know. It probably won't last very long. So if you want this, if this is something that would help you to get on a call with Gary and I, one-on-one, 7-figure Facebook marketer, 7-figure copywriter, and we could go through your no product funnel. Ideally, you go through the first couple trainings, you get your no product funnel set up, run a few ads, do your $20 a day budget, run a few ads, get some results, whether they're positive or negative, come back to us, and then we do our one-on-one coaching call, review it with you, and then maybe we could turn the dials a little bit here and there, tweak a few things like Bonnie, and turn something that's maybe just doing a little bit of success or not quite having success yet, turn it into a big winner for you, and then you can scale that thing up to the moon. So we're putting that out there, fast action bonus for the first 5 people. That's just limited to the first 5. That's not going to last long. So just a special thing for those of you on this call. The next level bonuses, just to preface this, these are next level tools. These are to deal with next level problems that you don't have to worry about in the beginning. These are when you start scaling up big. Okay, this is after you start having a lot of success. Some of you will go through the training and will have a lot of success and will be able to grow very quickly, and these may be tools that you then start using. Don't feel obligated to use these in the beginning. In fact, the way that Gary puts this, I like how you put this, so that people can, like poke their head down the rabbit hole and see.
Ram your entire head down the rabbit hole and see what myself and other seven-figure, ad guys are using, when we need the tools. Once you reach a certain level. Yeah, once you actually need them. One thing important to note, though, is that this is more like shining a bright, headlight down a dark road. You're not there yet. You don't need them yet. And the people it's just so that you can see them, though, so you can prepare yourself mentally so that you can see what's down the road. I think it's a valuable thing to be able to have that sort of insight. You would never be able to see these kind of high-level tools anywhere because they're not for sale out there. You can't find them. I don't have a sales page where you could go find these and watch a video to see what they're about. They're secret tools. They're underground tools. They're tools that I use myself, my friends use, and then only my students have access to them as well.
Okay, so let's run through these. So this is a software suite. It's several software tools for next level problems that you reach when you scale up really big. So what you get is a 45-day free trial of Gary's Ad Cloaker software. This has a real world value of, this is the price that we charge, $2,742. That's what you would pay for 45 days. That includes $19.97 licensing fee, plus the rate is $4.97 per month. That's what people pay. You're not going to have to pay that. You get it for free. It's important to note you don't have to pay anything at the end of 45 days. Your access will just be turned off at the end of 45 days. You get your free trial to check it out. If you decide that you want to keep using it after that, just reach out to us. But we're not going to rebill you automatically. You're not going to have to pay anything. You get all this free access. Along with all these tools, you get all these free access for 45 days. What this does for you, the power that this gives you. Okay, let's say you're advertising on Facebook. There's some niches Facebook doesn't really like the dating niche, for example. There's a lot of money in that niche. It's not necessarily a bad niche. There's some really good products, and there's helpful products that help people. There's some scammers in that niche. Facebook just decided we don't like dating offers. Anything dating you can't do. There's other offers, some supplements, they'll tag a certain offer that they just don't like, or a niche that they don't like, and it might be something that's very profitable, and you might have a good product that you want to promote, and it's going to make you a lot of money. So let's say you go to Facebook, you start running an ad in a niche, you get it approved, you're running small volume, and it starts just crushing it. You're making 300% ROI. You put in $1, you make $4. You make $3 profit, 300% ROI. Right? You're like, whoa, man, this is crushing it. I want to scale this thing up. You start scaling it up, and then once you start scaling it up, Facebook turns your ad off. Somehow it triggers a manual review or something. They look at it, they're like, wait a minute, we don't like this niche. Sorry, this ad is now disapproved, and you can't run it. And you're like, man, and now everything you try, you can't get that ad approved. And you're like, this is a cash machine. I can make so much money. Why does Facebook get to choose what I can do or not? And this is not like some naughty niche. This is not like something that's a bad offer. It's converting like crazy. They just, for whatever reason, Big Brother, Facebook is like, no, you can't do that. Well, this allows you to do what you want. You get to choose, what you feel good about promoting. Ad Cloaker, what it will allow you to do is get any quote unquote non-compliant ad campaign offer approved on Facebook or other traffic networks. And this software, Gary has invested well over $150,000 in this suite of software tools because and not even just to sell. He didn't even do it to sell this stuff. He did it to use it because it makes him so much money. There are ad cloakers out there that sell for upwards of $25,000. And the reason is people pay that. And this is just top super affiliates. And they're looking for stuff like this. They pay it because it's so valuable. It can make you so much money, and it's making them so much money. Gary's is better than all of those. He's tried all of them. He made his. It's better than any of them. And it's because Gary has over a decade of experience in cloaking, originally in SEO. He switched over to ad cloaking. He's built over, I think, 11,000 cloaked websites. And over the past year, he's learned, even still, after over a decade of experience and 11,000 cloaked websites, he's learned a ton more in ad cloaking that there's no way anybody even comes close to how his works. So is there anything I missed on that software, Gary?
I don't think so, man. I think you covered it pretty well.
Yeah, next level tool, extremely valuable once you reach that level that you want to, if you want to start promoting some non-compliant offers that are doing it really well for you. In the beginning, you don't need this. Everything we teach is totally compliant with Facebook. Bonnie is just promoting. She's probably promoting diet, weight loss stuff. A lot of our students do diet and weight loss because Gary's made a lot of success in that niche, so they emulate what he's done. But you don't have to worry about, you're going to be totally compliant with everything we do. But this gives you power to do even more if you want to, once you reach that level of success, if you want to dabble in that. Profit Vault, so $997 value. And every time I look at this, I'm like really? And the reason is because Gary has made so much stinking money with this thing, and it's so ingenious that the value is ridiculous if you use it. Okay. So another problem that you will face when you scale up beyond a certain level. This is not a problem that you're going to face when you're doing $100 a day, $500, $1,000 a day, even $5,000 a day. This is when you're getting up into tens of thousands of dollars per day, and you're in the upper echelons of super affiliates out there. The waters get more dangerous, get more cutthroat, and there's sharks swimming. Okay. When it thins out the herd and you've just got the top level super affiliates, that it's more cutthroat. Okay. And they will be on the lookout for what is going on out there, what are other people doing, because they like making, tons and tons of cash by just running an ad, and so if they see a campaign someone else is running and they're like, man, this campaign is running, it looks like it's been running a while, I think they might be having some success, they will want to test it themselves. It's, I'm sure you've heard of funnel hacking. Hopefully when you're doing this, you're emulating someone else's funnel. You're not just flat out copying it or stealing it. But at the highest levels, it's very cutthroat, and super affiliates will literally steal your campaign. You've done the hard work to figure out what's working. They will come in and they will copy it. They'll download it and they'll run it for themselves. They'll even run the same ads. They'll run the same pre-sale pages. They'll promote the same offers. And next thing you know, you've got a competitor bidding on the exact same stuff, and you're like, shit, this sucks. Well, what this does, Profit Vault, is so ingenious. It gives you the power to either, one, stop them dead in their tracks. There's a couple ways you could do this, and Gary will explain this after he tells you the story. It's a shocking story. Or what you can do, which is even cooler in my opinion, so diabolical, do nothing. Okay, just put Profit Vault on there and do nothing. And when somebody steals your campaign and starts running it, they won't even realize this, but they will literally start making you money. Okay. And it's so crazy. So the more people that steal your shit, the more money you make, just automatically. And this happens when you get to the top levels. People will steal your shit. Okay. And this is going to happen when you get to a certain level. And Gary's figured out just this clever way. I'll let you tell it. Why don't I give it to you? You tell the story. It's a crazy story. I'm just like, come on, steal my shit. I dare you. No, really. Well, it's kind of a funny story. It's definitely an interesting story, and in some ways, it's a hard story I got to go back like 18 months. Okay, I was doing a little funnel hacking myself, looking at people's pre-sale pages. I'm very intrigued by other people's work, and just to kind of learn from everybody. Every ad I see, every pre-sale page I see, I like to absorb it and see what's working out there. I ran across a pre-sale page that I thought was ingenious. I was like, I need to implement this. What better way than just kind of take it and run it and see if it works, and then I'll kind of build it up from there. So I grabbed the page. I made a couple little changes that I knew were probably going to help, and I did steps that I knew I needed to do to kind of remove any traces that I'm borrowing somebody's page. I put it up on my server and I ran with it. And it was no surprise, but I ended up, doing really well with it. I don't know if I should share the numbers. I guess so. It was like over $150,000 profit in 45 days off of that funnel.
and it was awesome. I mean, it was really cool. It was just brilliant. I mean, all kind of props to this person. Um, the problem is, this is about 45 days into it. I thought I'd kind of tweak things out, and it was still running really well, doing really well. I'm not really good at technical stuff. Like, I'm not a programmer or nothing like that, but I do have a programmer. I asked him to do a couple little changes for me, and he came back like, I don't know, 5 minutes later on Skype, I remember, and I could tell he's kind of nervous to bring it up. He's like, Gary, I don't know how to tell you this, but like, are you aware that like a third of your links are being overwritten by somebody else's affiliate ID? And I was like, what? Are you sure? And I had him show me, and he's like, okay, so my site wasn't hacked. That's number one. My site wasn't hacked. The code has been there all along. This person I took the page from, he had this very stealthy little piece of code in the page, and I didn't even know it was there, and I kind of know what to look for. I'm not a, total dummy, but I didn't see it. It was very stealthy. So I was in shock. And once the shock wore off, I couldn't even be mad about it because, I mean, frankly, I just borrowed this guy's, hard work, and I banked 150 grand. I was happy about that.
So, but he made, well, you're making 150 grand. He's making 30. He's making 50 grand.
Yeah, he made a 50 grand cold hard cash for doing no work, and I'm sure he was just jumping, doing backflips over it, like evil little laugh or something. I know I do that, but so
dude, this is the best part.
This is the best part. So this is where I was very, this is where I couldn't be mad at all because he had just turned me on to this idea. This is a brilliant idea. I was like, I got a great coder here. I sat down with my coder with Nick, and I was like, okay, Nick, I want to have this on every single landing page that I have, every single funnel that I have. This is going on it. So we sat down and we put our heads together and we created Profit Vault, which is a much more elaborate, sort of method and approach, more stealthy even, more effective than this guy's, kind of simple code. And it became Profit Vault. So here's the thing about Profit Vault. First of all, it's really, really easy. It's still, you just copy and paste a little piece of code, throw it into any landing page you want, any page, any pre-sale that you think might get stolen or borrowed. And then you just sit back and you choose, well, let me tell you what you can do with it. First of all, if somebody as soon as you implement Profit, as soon as somebody comes in and sneaks around and steals your page, you're going to know it. You're going to know their name, you're going to know their phone number, their email address, their mailing address. You're going to know where they're from and everything. You're going to know when they took your page, when they uploaded it to their server, when they first accessed that page from their server, when they first sent test traffic to that page, when they first started sending real traffic to that page, and from where, what network. You're going to know when they got their first sale. You're going to know the IP address of the buyer. You're going to know every subsequent sale and IP address. You're going to know everything about this guy's business, everything. And it spits out, like a real beautiful report. You can see so many details. It's pretty cool. And then what you can do with that is you have three options. One, you can use the information to contact the person and call them out and say, like, hey, you've been caught, so stop. And they'll stop, usually. If you don't want to get your hands dirty, then you just download the report, send it to your internet attorney, and have him send out a cease and desist letter for you on your behalf. Problem solved. Or you can do number three, which is what I do, which I just let them do it, because if I get one super affiliate to steal my page, that's a lot of money, extra income for me. Yeah, they might become a competitor, but at the end of the day, I'm making probably more money by them stealing my page for sure than I would have if they didn't steal it. So I'm just like, go for it, It's like I almost want to put like flashing lights and arrows pointing other super affiliates to my landing pages, hoping they'll steal it. So I kind of like, I refer to them as like my army of super affiliates that are out there making me money. And I joke with Rob, and I tell him like, yeah, if I ever quit doing this, quit running ads for some reason, God forbid, then I'd still make a ton of money ongoing just from this army of people out there that are sending me sales every day to my Clickbank account.
If you ever sold this publicly, the tagline would be, please steal my shit.
Yeah, which I will not do. I will never sell this publicly. This is only available to my students, to me, and to my friends. You'd have to know me to get access to this. This is the kind of tool, by the way, that it doesn't exist for a reason, because most people don't have this problem. This isn't a problem that you have. Most people have. It's you only have this problem once you start, going through this. Some of my students
we
have
would
started
like
having
to
this problem.
create this problem for you.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move on, man. Proper Vault is an amazing tool. It's super valuable. It's
Yeah,
amazing. It's probably my favorite tool.
You get access to all this stuff. You just sign up. I know we're getting on late in time. We're going to get to the questions here as soon as we get through the rest of these bonuses. So I know there's a lot of questions. So we're going to hop into those as quickly as we can. So I'll try and breeze through these. But if you're ready to join, you can go ahead and join. We will try and send out a recording, or if you want to watch the rest. But if you don't have time to get to the Q&A, everything's in the course. All you have to do is go to getriseacademy.com. The link is in the chat window. Let's continue through the next level bonuses and show you the rest of the stuff. Some of these things we're going to keep kind of close to the hip. We're going to keep a little bit secret. We'll tell you a little bit about them, but we're not going to tell you everything because we don't want the public, the general public, to know all of the tricks that we have up our sleeve, all of the advantages that we have. We like to keep our competitive advantage over other super affiliates out there. But of course, if you join, you can watch all the videos and you can use all the tools and you can see exactly the tricks that we use. But let's run through the rest of these. And again, then we'll get to all of your questions, as many as we can answer in the time that we've got. So History Jacker, the next tool. Again, this is so silly. Like $9.97. There's so much money that you've made off of this. I'm not going to tell you how it works, like the trick, what it does. You'll have to join to see how it works. But here's the thing. Here's the power that it gives you. Mobile traffic is huge, 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 huge. There's more mobile traffic than desktop traffic, definitely. Everybody has a phone. Everywhere you go, there's way more mobile traffic than anything else. And the problem is most people don't know how to monetize it. Most people struggle to make money off of mobile traffic. The no product funnel works like gangbusters on mobile traffic. You could get mobile traffic for cheaper. You can scale it up bigger. And so we love it. We love mobile traffic. History Jacker, what it does, and this is insane. You could never do this before, but Gary and his programmer's a genius. They figured out how to do this across every 100% of mobile devices out there. The method that he uses, the trick, is really simple to implement. Like everything else, all these tools fall along the same lines. Either they give you power to do something nobody else can do, give you that competitive advantage, or they allow you to do things you wouldn't be able to do otherwise, or they immediately give you a boost in profit just by tacking it onto what you're already doing. History Jacker falls into that category. You can instantly get a 15 to 20% boost in profits on mobile traffic just by tacking this onto what you're doing. It's so ingenious. There's no way you could have done it before, and they figured out how to do it. If you sign up, you get access to that. So you can give an immediate boost in profit to all your mobile traffic. Killer tool. So profitable. The rest of these, I'm just going to hurry up and run through them. I won't tell you exactly what they do, but they all fall in line with these same categories. So Geosplash, another powerful tool. Pixel Plus, very powerful. Stealth Click, super killer tool. The IP list for the ad cloaker, this is like the rocket fuel that makes the ad cloaker so much better than everything else out there. Gary's IP list is in the millions. Okay, they've figured out proprietary ways to build it up in ways that nobody else, none of the ad clickers can do. You don't need to know what any of that means. Just know that this is why it's so much more powerful than all the other ad clickers out there. So real world value of these tools that, by the way, you can't buy anywhere. This is the only way you can get access to these. You have to know Gary. By signing up for our course, you get free access to these. There's no other way that you can get in without having that connection to Gary. You get free access for 45 days. Total value bonuses, $8,724 on top of the value of the course, which we'll be selling for $7,000, $69.97 in the near future with our super affiliate friends. It's already in talks. So if you wait, that's what you're going to have to pay for the course. I don't know if we'll ever offer the bonuses at that point, but that's over $15,000 value that you can get right now for the low price of $19.97 just by going to getriseacademy.com. The link is in the chat window. Okay, and of course, if you're on the fence, if you're not sure, you don't know us, there's a 60-day guarantee. Have success, or we'll buy it back from you. We'll give you your money back. We're that confident. We want there to be no risk on your shoulders. Okay, even if you don't know if this is, if you can do this, you're not sure. It sounds good. Everything makes sense so far. You love the concept. Everything's making sense to you. You had a lot of aha moments, but you're still a little on the fence. You're not sure. Well, you know what? You got 60 days to go in. Let us prove it to you. Let us help you have some of these next level problems. Hopefully within the 6 weeks, you'll get to that point where you're like, man, somebody stole my page. I'm a hit the big time. And it's like, I'm going to start using this tool so I can make some free money. Um, we want you to have those next level problems too. So let's start hopping into the questions. Gary, we really have been talking a lot, haven't we?
Yes.
So we don't have a ton of time. I think I know I have an appointment after this. I have to go pretty soon. So we have about 20 minutes, I think, to answer questions. So Gary, if you don't mind, I'm just going to start going through and reading off these questions and just throw them at you. And do you mind if I just start throwing you questions?
Yeah, go for it.
Since you are the Facebook expert. So first of all, this is one that I've seen some variations of as I'm skimming through these comments and questions. And it's, I've never done paid ads, or I'm new to, websites or different elements. And is this friendly for a beginner or some people, I'm older, I'm 65 years old, I've never done this kind of stuff, would it work for me? So the question basically, I'll boil it down to this: is it newbie friendly? And actually I'll throw on there, how about advanced marketers or intermediate marketers as well? What do you say to that?
Well, the group of people that I invited to my house here in San Diego, they were all different walks. Most of them were newbies. They were all newbies to Facebook ads, had either never run Facebook ads before, or they had, maybe tried and never had made any money with it, never had any success with it. Age-wise, they range anywhere from like 22 years to, Matt's dad, 72 years old. I've had older people go through the course than that even and have success with it. So, yeah, and I think that it's built for anybody, for newbies especially, because I was just a newbie at this myself like 2 years ago. So I still remember very clearly, what it feels like, and I spent like 13 years doing internet marketing without wanting to know this stuff but not knowing it. So it's very clear in my mind how to teach this stuff to newbies. And I think that that's obvious with the results that I've gotten with people, 60% success rates. But that said, also some of the guys that I've worked with are intermediate marketers, people who've made, plenty of money online, maybe not with running paid traffic or maybe not with running Facebook ads, but at least, like making money on the internet. Some people are like super affiliates. Some of the people I've worked with are super affiliates who are already like really successful, not only at internet marketing and paid traffic, but even at Facebook ads. And what I found these guys tend to say is like, their response is usually like, wow, man, like this is way different than what I've ever seen before. This is like, the way that you guys break it down is so much more simple. Like I've been overcomplicating everything. Like I can like literally cut out hours of work here because you guys are removing so much of the, like the complicated stuff. And that's what Rob and I are kind of known for. At least that's what we go for the last 4 years we've been working together. We are always trying to figure out how to make things more simple. That's like our forefront of our mind is how can we take something that's complicated and just remove all of the unnecessary stuff that most people are doing to make it simple enough so that, because our goal is to help our students actually learn this stuff. And people get in their own way, they overcomplicate things, so we spend a lot of our energy trying to keep things simple and not allowing people to overcomplicate things. Keep things simple, and it works.
There's another question I think is a good demonstration of this. I see this question: do you have to be, because they're talking about the pre-sale pages, you have to be a good writer, a good copywriter, and I could take that one. Speaking of keeping stuff simple, the pre-sale page that you ultimately found that works so well, the one that we use on 90% of our ads, there's very little copy on it, to be honest with you. It's so simple, it's so clever and diabolical. But
two paragraphs.
Yeah, exactly. To answer the question though, you definitely don't need to be a great copywriter. It might even hurt you if you're a really awesome copywriter, because you're going to be focusing on how to sell. Your job is not to sell. All you have to do is mimic what Gary does. And you'll see, you go through the ad challenge episodes, and we show you over and over again exactly how to do the kind of how to do your ads. It's so simple, and people just try to sell, sell, sell. And it's like, no, you don't have to sell. You don't have
No,
to.
it's more about psychology than it is about ad copywriting.
People overcomplicate it, and we're always trying to get people, don't overcomplicate it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just do this. It's so simple. Okay, so you don't need to be a great copywriter. You just need to be able to follow instructions and resist the urge to try and reinvent the wheel and try and do everything differently. I don't know why. Maybe it's just internet marketers. We all have this kind of mindset. We're like, screw the system. I'm going to do it my way. It's like, okay, we have that too. It's so hard to not go in there and try and change things. But we just ask that you go in, go through the training, and test it and do it. Run through it. It's not complicated. There's only a handful of steps. And you may be tempted to try something different. I could see some questions here, and I'm just going to address all these in one lump sum. I see questions about, can we build a list? Have you ever tried video ads? Have you ever done this? What about this? Could you use this with e-commerce? Can you do this with this? I see all these questions, and I just want to lump them all into one category and say, you can try whatever you want at the end of the course if you want, but I beg you, come in and follow this and run the system as it's laid out. If you want to apply it to other stuff later, you can, but first just do the system and let us prove to you how well it works, how simple it is. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Don't try and apply it to something else. Just run it as it is. Get some cash flow going. Okay, and then you could go and you can try and reinvent the wheel to your heart's content, and you could go mess it all up, and you could lose it. You can shoot your ROI in the foot if you want by doing something different. But first, do the proven system. It's not that many steps. It's not going to take you that long if you just focus on it and you don't spend a lot of time second guessing and trying to swap out this and swap out that. What if I use it to do this? What if I use it to do this? No, this is an extremely powerful tool to make money in one specific way. Sure, if you're really into list building, and you make a ton of money with your email list and you're a badass copywriter and you've got email sequences figured out and all that stuff.
Hey, Rob. I'm going to jump in here real quick. I'm looking at my text message from you last night from where you copied me on Matt. You said, you guys don't know me. You may not even get this, but 2 weeks ago, I bought Rise Academy. Last Friday, I got access to week 2. On Tuesday, I launched my first campaign. That first day, I made $43 profit. Second day, I made $121, then $524. Yesterday, day 4, I just barely cracked $1,000 in profit. And today, with 6 hours left in my day, I've exceeded $5,000 in revenue with just a shade under $3,000 in profit. What the fuck? Well, WTF, sorry.
What
Sorry, I'm just reading this. Normally, I would censor myself. This was from an absolute dead zero start. See attached screenshot. He sent us a screenshot. So thanks. It works. And even if you don't know me, hit me up if you're ever in Arizona. Dinner's on me. My name is Matt. That is, and that's just an example of what can happen.
So what we started doing, we did the live Q&A the first time. We just said, come bring questions. Eventually, we made it more structured. So we asked questions in advance where we were like, tell us what you're struggling with. Tell us what your biggest milestone or success story is so far, and then what are your questions? And we have people submit them beforehand, and then of course we answer questions live live submissions as well. But we like to prepare before the Q&A so we can do really good answers. And what started happening, we got overwhelmed at first when we first ran this to the first group. We got a rush of people. We put them through the training, and so we didn't have a lot of time to ask people, how are you, what kind of results are you getting? And I don't know why people don't report back. People will speak up if they're having problems, but if things are going great, they just do their own thing, And so we were only seeing like the handful of people that were having problems. That's what we were focusing on. We were trying to improve that. And I'm glad that we did, because more people have success because we dealt with any obstacles people were facing. But once we started asking every week on the live Q&As, what are the biggest milestones? the people who are just starting out, it'd be small milestones because they hadn't started advertising yet. They'd be like, wow, I got my first ad approved. Wow, I made my first $100. Oh, I got uploaded this thing. I've never done any kind of website. So it'd be small milestones. Oh, I had these big aha moments about the images. I didn't realize how simple it was to get, this huge click-through rates. You make it so easy in the training, and it's different than what everybody else says. And there's those kinds of milestones. Those are great. But when people started advertising, man, we got such huge success stories. We had no idea the number of people that were having so much success. And so we started asking this every week. I think we need to reach out to a lot of these people and maybe compile all of them, because just the success stories we've started telling you tonight, we're barely scratching the surface. They're pouring in every week. We get more. It'll be like Chris was like, I did $20,000 within, I forget the amount of time. It was probably in a matter of weeks. I think maybe it was his first month. I can't remember. Gary's going to reach out to Chris and interview him. He's going to interview Bonnie. He's going to start interviewing all these people, and they're going to share their insights, how they went from complete beginners. So we're going to add that stuff in. That's something we need to be more structured about, is actually asking for success stories and getting more interviews. We already have a bunch, but it's crazy, this success that people are having. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent here. Let's jump back into some of the questions and see. I think I answered, I kind of lumped a bunch of them into the same category. The ones that are like, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? What can I apply to this? I think I lumped all those into one category. But there's one thing that I do want to answer, and there's a handful of tools like, what other tools do I need? Do I need an autoresponder? Do I need like third-party tracking tools? What do you need first? Do I need software for tracking? I can see a couple people asking that, and I want to address that. First of all, well, there's one. Obviously, you don't need an autoresponder. We don't build an email list. You don't need any kind of third-party tools at all. The simplest method, I'll just mention this. Nick, it's so funny when you interviewed Nick. I love how it was like he had done this. So Gary interviewed him when he hit that mark of doing, I think, $60,000 or $65,000, and you were like, well, what kind of struggles are you facing now? And he's like, well, the tracking, I don't really, I'm not good at tracking. I don't really do the tracking. Like right now, it's probably not the best way to do it, but I basically look at how much money I've made, and then I look at how much money I've spent, and I minus the two.
He's like, it might kind of seem kind of rookie, but I'm like, well, if you're making 65 grand.
If you just follow because you don't have to test a lot of stuff. You can test a handful of ads. You don't need to do a bunch of tracking and stuff. Just do a couple, following the system as closely as you can. But if you do want to do tracking, you don't need third-party tools. We had our programmer, we have several programmers. We had one of our programmers code it into the pre-sale page. So you don't have to do anything. And that's the 10-minute video I told you, the advanced video that's optional. Really, really simple. So if you want to test, if you're like a testing, madman, and you're like, or mad person, I don't know what the politically correct say that is, and you want to test like tons and tons of ads and offers and all this kinds of stuff, and you have the time to do that. I know Gary just does a couple at a time. You'll do one or two. You'll have one main ad that's having all the success, but you might try another ad the next day. He keeps it small, but some people just love testing, and digging into tracking and stuff like that. You don't have to do anything. It's built in, super simple to use. We have a 10-minute, we call it newbie-proof videos that you could go through. It tells you how to do it. Dead simple. You don't need any third-party tools. What you will need, the only stuff you need to buy outside of this, by the way, someone asked if we have any upsells. There's no upsells. Just one-time fee. You get access to everything. Okay. You keep your access, as at the end of 6 weeks, you keep your access, all that stuff. Aside from the software bonuses, you get those for 45 days. But all the training, you could keep going to the ad challenges. We keep doing those. You could keep coming to the live Q&As even after the 6 weeks. Sorry, I keep going off on all these tangents because I see these other questions that apply. But back to my point, the stuff that you do need to buy outside the course, you will need a domain name. Okay, you'll probably need a handful of domain names over time. Domain names are cheap. What are they, $12 or whatever over on Namecheap? You will need web hosting. The one thing we will say is don't get the bargain cheapy web hosting, because you want your pre-sale page to load really fast. So if you get the shared shitty Bluehost or whatever hosting out there, there's these little companies that they charge, like $5 or $6 or $8. It's not worth the savings. Get a solid VPS hosting. It's only going to cost you $20, $30 a month, and you're not going to be sharing it with a gazillion people. It's hosted in the cloud. Your site will be able to handle big volume, and your pre-sale page will load fast. Every second counts. So that's one thing that you do want to, that's just a little tip. And for anything you're doing online, just get decent hosting. All it takes is you get a VPS hosting, you're going to be able to get those fast speeds. Simple as that. Those are the outside costs. Nothing too big. And that little added expense is going to give you that much of an advantage. If you're competing with somebody that's using shared hosting and their page takes 4 seconds to load, and your page, you're using our optimized pre-sale page, you just uploaded it and you got a VPS host, it's going to load in a second. That 3 seconds is going to kill their conversion rates. People are going to sit there, they're not going to wait. Google has tested this. It's something like every second of load time drops your conversion some massive amount, maybe like every 10th of a second. It matters. So we have everything optimized. You don't have to figure that stuff out. Just download our page. It's fully optimized. Upload it to your VPS host, just $20, $30 a month for that, and you're good to go. You got the advantage. So that's the third-party stuff. Let me see. Let me throw a few more questions your way, Gary. We're already a little over on time, but I think I can probably handle a few more minutes. So I'll answer a few more questions. I'll throw them over to you before we cut it off because I was kind of long-winded there. Do you only use Clickbank, and do you only use Facebook traffic? Do you use any other traffic sources? I'll throw that over to you.
No, I do use other traffic sources and other offers, but I generally try to keep things simple, and I like to stick with what I know is what works and what's simple, what I'm going to get paid for. With Clickbank, it's nice because you know you're going to get paid. There's no way you don't get paid. With other, I won't mention like some other traffic or some other offers, you might spend $20,000 and then not get paid because they go under or something happens, and you don't get a paycheck. It doesn't happen often, but it's enough to where it's just like, I don't want to send you guys down that path. But you deal with that kind of thing later on down the road. But Facebook is this is a kind of similar reason I'm only teaching Facebook here the first 5 weeks is because it's cheap to get started, and a lot of people getting into this don't have that much money to throw at this right away. Later on you'll be like me or like Matt or like Bonnie or like the other Matt or like Nick or Chris or Ted or any of my other students who have now like plenty of money to spend, but in the beginning they didn't, right? So Facebook makes it really easy to get started at $20 a day, whereas some of these other networks, you may be spending $10,000 to test to see what works instead of $60, and it makes a big difference when you're just getting started. So we've thought about all that stuff, just really, making this as successful for you as possible. So yeah, we mostly focus on Facebook and on Clickbank in the trainings.
Yeah,
that's really all you need.
So that's cool. But yeah, week 6 will be cool when we go into that next level. Traffic source is very powerful stuff, but you won't be ready for that in the beginning. But once you build up the budget, once you have the experience with Facebook, then you might be ready to move to that next traffic source.
We'll show you all that stuff too. Just
don't worry about that now. Just stick with what's easy, simple, cheap to get started. The biggest ROI, the biggest scalability for when you're starting out, really killer. Here's a question.
The week 6 stuff is where I was talking about, the guy who's doing $40,000 a day, he's doing it over there. The guy who's doing $100,000 a day, he's doing it over there on these bigger networks, that can handle that. Facebook really kind of tops out at like $20,000 a day for most affiliate offers.
But $20,000 a day is a lot,
It is, but you're always looking for that next rung,
And everybody started on Facebook, so that's where the big money is when you're starting out for sure. You're right, money will change once you get to that point, but don't worry about that now. Stick with what's good for getting up to that point. Where do you find great images? That's actually the entire focus of week 1 of the training is the images. So we get into that in so much detail, and it's going to blow your mind. You're going to be so miles ahead of everybody else out there. It's so powerful. So that's week 1. Actually, here's how is the training structured. I see another question. When does the course actually start? Let me just tell you the layout of the course. What happens? You sign up. The 6 weeks You get access to one module per week. They are video recordings of training sessions with with Q&As at the end. So each week you'll get access to one, and we have them laid out that way, one per week, so that we give you the right stuff at the right time. What happens when we give you too much at once is you don't go through it, you get overwhelmed. This has happened time and time again. This is that first group, they got overwhelmed. Okay, and once we started structuring it this way, our goal for you is for you to start advertising in after the second week. So that text message Gary got, it's 2 weeks in, I started advertising. That was Matt. He followed the system. Week 1, we go through, the first 3 modules, we go through the no product funnel. So by the end of that, day 1, you sign up, you get access to the images, image training, the ad training, a lot of supplemental stuff you can check out if you want. You get all the live Q&As are in there. You can get access to that if you want to go through the past live Q&As. You get access to the knowledge base. You could search through, get any questions you want to answer just at the touch of a button. And you get access to the ad challenge. So you can watch the past, I've got a ton of ad challenge episodes. Definitely watch the first couple as soon as you get a chance. The first one, you're going to see all the mistakes that people make. And then people get better and better over time. And you watch as many as you've got time for. I would recommend you go through module 1. And then for your homework for week 1, first module I think is less than 2 hours. Go through maybe watch an episode of the ad challenge or a couple if you can, whatever you have time for, and then go in to the ad challenge. There's instructions on the ad challenge page on how to submit your ad to the ad challenge. So you can use our mock-up tool and you can submit an ad or a couple ads and give it a try. Watch a few episodes first so you don't make the same mistakes and that we don't give you the same advice that we've given everybody a gazillion times. Learn from a couple episodes, and so you can start out ahead out of the gate. But start implementing, and that's going to allow you to start implementing the most important thing without any risk at all to your part. And that's a good start. And then the second module, we get into pre-sale pages. We'll give you the pre-sale pages. We explain the psychology. And then the third module, we tie it all together. And then you're ready to go. 2 weeks may seem like a lot. You may want to make money now, but 2 weeks is not that long. And the time spent going through and doing the homework assignments, they're not hard. They're not going to take a ton of time. It's worth it because that's going to put you ahead of the game so that when you start spending money on ads, you're going to have way less chance of blowing it. You're going to actually listen to stuff. You're not going to be overwhelmed and miss things. Okay? You're going to catch the little things that we go through, and you go. And a no product funnel is not complicated, but there are some small things here and there, some subtle things you need to get right. So you need to not rush it. So 2 weeks is not a lot of time to spend preparing yourself. I mean, think about college, right? You go to college and you spend what? I don't even know what college costs now, $50,000 or some crazy amount, probably more if you go to like an expensive, school, high-end school or whatever. And then what do you get when you graduate? You're not guaranteed to make any money. You're not guaranteed to even get a job. I mean, it's like a high percentage of people. I read this article, a high percentage of people graduating, and then they end up working at Starbucks, and you've spent so much cash. A lot of people they don't even pay off their student loans until they are older adults. Crazy. There's no guarantees. And where else are you going to find a training where 2 weeks in you can start using it, implementing it, and start making money? Okay, it's very powerful, but you do need to give it that time to go through that. And then afterwards, we get into the more advanced stuff. After the first couple modules, you'll be able to start advertising. Then we get into optimizing and scaling up. Okay, but you need the foundations built. You need to have your thing in place, your funnel in place, your no product funnel. It's very simple. It's basically one page on your website, and it's an ad. That's it. I mean, your page is going to link to an offer, okay? But that's the thing. You've got a page on your website, and you got an ad. And if you have the right page set up the right way, and you have the right ad, and then the minor details that we lay out for you, you see how much money you can make with those two things, a page on your site and an ad. It's freaking crazy, right? But you don't rush it, because if you got just any old page and any old ad, it's not going to make you money. But if you do it the right way, the way that we teach you, you can make a boatload of cash. Okay, just to remind you, the link is GetRiseAcademy.com. Link is in the chat window. as well. You can join now. You get instant access. Start going on the ad images, and then within 2 weeks you can start advertising. And hopefully, if you follow through the training like so many others have, you can start seeing ROI right off the bat. By the way, this is a good time to mention this. I see someone asking what's a good ROI. Sales net profit versus ad spend. So I'll throw that to you, Gary. What's your idea of a good ROI?
Sorry, I was answering questions over on the side. What is a good example of an ROI?
Good ROI, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you were off Facebook on another network, mostly you're looking at like 50% ROI, about what you're gonna shoot for. On Facebook, though, you can do double that. You could probably do 10 times that sometimes. I know Rob and I last week were doing 1,500% ROI to 1,000% ROI for a funnel we're running. And but typically, I'd say it'll range between 100% on up to like 300, 400% for me and also for my students. Like that's our goal, is like 100% plus. That doesn't mean that we shut it off if the only offer that we have running is doing 70%. You still keep that one running until you can beat it. But eventually, you want to spend your ad budget on something that's doing a higher ROI, and it's totally doable to do 100%, 200%, 300% or more on Facebook. It's great traffic. It's the best quality traffic that you can get. That's why we focus on Facebook. One of the big reasons.
So actually I was typing this out, but I'm just going to answer it out loud. So someone asked, is ClickFunnels okay for a landing page, or is it too slow? That's not what we're concerned about. Speed is. They're not going to have our landing pages. We have two types of landing pages, pre-sale pages, that work with our system that have been proven. So I tried to make this as clear as possible before. You don't need website builders. You don't need page builders. Use ours. They've been tested. They have the elements that make them convert. Don't go and try and reinvent the wheel and try and use something else, because it's not going to be the same thing. It's like, you're not using the tools that we're giving to you. If you want to use ClickFunnels or lead pages for something else, that's fine. They have what they're intended for, but they're not built around the no product funnel. Our pre-sale pages are highly optimized for our system, and there's specific psychological elements that are built in. There's a specific features that are very subtle. You're not going to be able to recreate those features, and you don't have to do anything to set them up. They're already built into there, and you're going to miss it. If you go and just do something else, you're going to miss some little thing that's actually a key component of conversions that we just have built in. So I would say don't try. We answer questions like the live Q&As. I'd say 50% or more of the questions are us telling people that ask, can I do this? And we say, no, just could if you want. Just do what we say to do. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stop trying to do something different. It's so simple. Do what we say to do, and then after that, get some money coming in. And then if you really want to go and mess it all up with something else, then you can play around with it.
And we say this out of love, too, because we really genuinely want people to be successful with this. And we've learned, the first group of people that I invited to my house, I took the time to sit down with each person for about 20 or 30 minutes of time and ask them and really dig in and find out what's been holding you back your whole life, so far in your career. And the answers were surprisingly the same. They were always the same. They're always people getting in their own way, people overcomplicating issues, people going after these shiny little objects, and just getting in their own way, messing things up. So we say this out of love. We really want you to just keep things simple, because we see that that's probably the number one reason that people fail, is because they ask these questions that are unnecessary. They think that they need to do something differently, but trust me, we've already thought about it. There's a reason that we have 60% success rate. And we're not trying to brag about it, but the truth of it is there's a really good reason for it. It's because we've already thought about this stuff. We've already made it as simple as possible for you. So genuinely, you don't have to even worry about that or ask any questions of how, can I make this better? Can I make this process better? Maybe. I don't think so, though. I think you're way better off to just keep it do exactly what we've outlined for you, because that's your best possible chance for success, really.
Yeah, once you've got a campaign that's crushing it, then you can start tweaking things and messing around and trying to figure out little tweaks that we haven't laid out, that maybe you have some ideas that'll boost it up a bit. But I wouldn't do that until you've got a working campaign, because we've already got the proven system laid out. I just noticed the time. We're like way over on time. I didn't expect to stay this long. I have an appointment I got to go to. I expected to have more time to get ready. But okay, so I'm gonna pick one more question. If you've got any more questions, everything's answered in the course. Okay, so you join, you're going to get all your questions answered. We have the live Q&As. We've got our support desk, dedicated support staff. You could email support@overnightsuperaffiliate.com day or night, and you'll get an answer from our support desk. They're good for technical stuff and a lot of the common questions and stuff. Strategy questions, you're best off to bring those to the live Q&As, and Gary and I will answer them personally for you. You get a 7-figure Facebook marketer, 7-figure copywriter to answer your questions directly. I'll answer one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. So I've got how much. So we did talk about how much you spend on an ad campaign to begin with before you scale it up. But this one I wanted to address, how much of an ad budget, like total ad budget, do I need to get started? And I've seen variations of this. So from the low end, what's the minimum amount that I want set aside, as well as ideally, like in an ideal world, Gary, what would your scenario be of how much money you would say that you'd love to have them spending on ads? Spectrum.
It's an interesting question, because it's one that, it's just really, you can work with whatever budget you have, to an extent. I mean, if you have absolutely no cash flow, you're going to have to get creative and start out with the OPM method. I just saw somebody asking there, saying, man, I'd love to get in, but it sucks that I can't get approved by PayPal credit. Well, there's another side to OPM method too, and that's finding a cash investment partner. I just talked with a 22-year-old girl the other day who had that problem, and I said, well, how dedicated are you? And she goes, I'm very dedicated. I'm in this. I said, well, then do you have somebody that you can get, that you can partner up with to get money, who would invest in you or believes in you? Maybe, that you can put your time and energy in, and they'll put a little cash in, and then you guys can be partners. And she kind of flailed a little bit, and she's like, I don't feel comfortable. I'm like, then you don't want it bad enough. If you really want it bad enough, get out there. And guess what? She got $3,000 above and beyond, the cost to get into the course. She got $3,000 of ad budget money from her uncle, and now she's in it, and she just started making money just the other day. So it's really interesting, But as far as ad budget for yourself, I think that it's good to have, if you can, $100 a day. But think about it. Matt, the guy I got started with, he started out at $5 or $10 a day. Again, it's not a race. It's not a race. It's just, you want to change your life. You want to, create this business, get involved in this business model and make it work for you. You're going to have to spend something. The more you can spend, the faster you can scale. The less you have to spend, the slower you can scale. That's really all it boils down to. Ideally, it'd be great if you had, $1,400 over the first 2 weeks. It'd be even better if you had $14,000 over the first 2 weeks. You're just going to be able to scale that much faster. The guys that I'm talking about who are doing $5,000 a day right away, it's because they're using the OPM method. They're using credit cards, or rarely somebody might actually have, a bank account with some money in it, some cash in it. They're using debit cards. But most people are just using the OPM method, and they're just using credit cards, and that's why they're able to scale up and start making that kind of money that quickly.
Okay, we need to wrap it up. I actually saw one question, though, that we do have to answer because we promised we would, and that is, what was the illegal, the previously legal that became illegal method that was responsible for making so many first-time millionaires that you pioneered back in the day?
Man, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, I never
feel it.
I know, but I never talk about this. It's not one of those things where I like to talk about it. It is kind of a black hat thing. But I was the creator of CookieStuffer.com, and the first cookie stuffing product out there ever, and that solution. And yeah, a bunch of millionaires were created off of it. It's a really simple tool. It kind of reminds me of Profit Vault in a sense of how it operates, but you just fill in a few things and it spits out a little piece of code. You copy and paste it into any website. And what would happen is if you copied it into a website, any website that had traffic, whether it's 50 visitors a day on some blog or 500,000 visitors a day on some adult website, like a TGP website that has these little thumbnails of like, adult content. And some of those guys, by the way, could get 100 or 200,000 visitors a day and still only make like $150 a day off of that traffic. It's pretty sad. So when they implemented cookie stuffing onto their sites, those guys became overnight millionaires, and a lot of them, I mean, it kind of caught on. It's just like anybody with a big traffic site that where they couldn't monetize it, suddenly it's like they could monetize the hell out of it. So yeah, I don't really talk about it. I never bring it up. In fact, I was in San Francisco not long ago, and I had a couple of guys approach me from the bar, and they were from the event, and they're like, "Are you Gary Kramer?" Somebody told me. He's like, "I just wanted to like buy you a beer because you helped me make my first $1 million online with cookiestuffer.com." And I was like, "Oh wow, cool." I was like, "I don't drink, but I'm glad that you told me." And then also, one of the guys, like the first guy I talked about early on in this presentation, I said, okay, so Matt came to me and he was making $100 a day. I got in there with a friend of mine, sort of a partner, and we teamed up to help him build out this funnel. That guy, we worked together, and I think it was like 5 or 6 months that we were working together on Facebook ads before it ever came up, and he brought it up because he was telling me about his backstory, and he said that he made his first $1 million online with cookie stuffing, and I was just like, what? And he said he bought like 3 houses down in Mexico and moved down there and stuff. And anyway, I was like, well, then I guess you owe me a house or something, because I was cookiestuffer.com. He's like, holy shit, are you serious? Yeah, but anyway, it became illegal. Eventually, I got out of it. I told all of my customers and stuff to get out of it. And pretty much everybody listened to me. There's a couple of people who couldn't give up the golden goose because they were just making millions, and they just didn't want to give it up, and unfortunately. So yeah, that's the backstory there, though.
So how would you compare it to what you're doing now, the no product funnel?
Well, I would compare it. There's a couple of ways that it's similar, and then there are ways that it's different too. It's similar in the sense that, like I said, there's some copy-paste simplicity to it. It's a clever idea. Use my brain kind of creativity to come up with a method that made money without that much work. And I think it's kind of similar in that way. The way that it's different, though, is that I knew going into cookie stuffing, I knew that was going to have a short life to it. All black hat things like that, they have a short life. You might be able to get in there with some clever idea and make a bunch of money real fast, but then it's going to end in a week or a month or a few months or something. So I was really honestly surprised that it even lasted a year and a half before it finally got shut down. And I never liked that lifestyle. I hated that lifestyle. Now I have 2 young girls, a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old girl, and my family's important to me, and having, sustainable income, all that stuff is like really important to me now. So I don't like to do anything where I'm going to invest my time and energy into something when I believe that it's not going to be around for long. Fortunately, this is based on a long history of successful, just good sense, logic. It's stuff that's been used in advertising for the last 100 years, since magazines and newspapers, TV ads, radio ads, all the stuff that successful advertisers have been using, all this time. I've just implemented it into Facebook and made it work. So it's the same principles. And the nice thing about that is that I know that that's going to continue to work with Facebook for a long, long time. And I also feel that even if Facebook were to ever, stop working, I know that the next ad platform that replaces Facebook, it's going to work there too. It works at Google, it works at native ads, it works on solo ads, it works on Facebook right now, it works on all existing ad platforms, and it will continue to work on all future ad platforms. So when you get into this course and you learn this stuff, you're developing a skill set, much like a college degree, but better, that's going to go with you for the rest of your life and for the rest of your career on the internet.
So, awesome answer. So let me just ask the audience before we wrap it up. Was this helpful? Was this a good training? Did you learn a lot? Can you just give us a little bit of feedback just before we shut it down? It's always good to see that. Okay, cool. Yeah, lots of yeses coming in. Yes, very enlightening. Yes, lots of yeses, lots of aha moments. Cool. So Gary, anything you want to say to wrap it up before we close down?
Well, there's only one thing that comes to mind, Rob, and that is that, just looking here and seeing that there's still so many people on this call. It's like um, so many people still here, and it makes me wonder, like, why are you still here? Like, really, it means in my mind either you've already purchased or you're still like interested. You're really interested, and you're holding on to the very end. You're on the fence maybe, and it makes me think. Also, it reminds me of the event that I threw here at my house, where I'm at right now in San Diego. It makes me think of like those 40% of the people who didn't really take action. Those same people that I was so wanting so badly to succeed, and I knew at that time it was just like the only thing really separating these people right now from a real chance at success is just investing in yourself, believing in me, believe in the program, believe in yourself that you can do this, and just take action. So I'm feeling that way right now for those of you who are still in the call. Maybe kind of like, you're not sure. Maybe a lot of you are just like, how can I come up with the money? Like you have different kinds of struggles. But for those of you who are just like, you're on the fence and you're not quite sure, I just want to encourage you. So this is just me talking to you right now. I just want to encourage you that think about it. When are you going to have this opportunity again where you're going to have two seven-figure earners? Not to toot my own horn, but I've been the #1 affiliate on Clickbank for the last couple of years off and on. And I'm dedicated to helping lift you up. Rob is dedicated to helping lift you up. We put a lot of our energy and our heart and our time into helping our students. So you can feel confident that we're here for you. We're going to help lift you up. We care about your success. So, and also you don't really have any risk. It's just committing to jumping in and doing it and just taking that initial action. I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed. So anyway, that's really it. Just wrap it up, and just want to thank everybody for sticking around all this time with us.
Absolutely. And we got several people saying that they're in. They're looking forward. Matt says looking forward to the training. Julius has just joined. So cool. Yeah, all this awesome. So everybody who's joined, we'll see you on the inside. Get signed up for our first live Q&A on next Monday, and just jump in, start enjoying the training, and we'll see you on the inside. Thanks everybody. Have a good night, or if you're on this side of the world, have a good day. And that's a wrap. We'll talk to you soon on the inside. Night, everybody.